Chapter 667. The depressed Zhao Yu die. Evil creature, die. Seeing that Zhao Yu couldn't bear to kill Yi Fei, the Empress Dowager walked over and grabbed Zhao Yu's hand. Together with the intellectual sword in her hand, she stabbed Yi Fei's body. Clang! Clang! Yi Fei's clothes were quickly torn to shreds, revealing his muscular body. Zhao Yu seemed to have thought of something, and a hint of shyness flashed across his cold eyes, which then turned into a thick sense of surprise. The Empress Dowager seemed to have gone crazy. She stared at Yi Fei and said crazily, "You scourge! Why? Why can't the intellectual sword pierce through your body no matter how hard I try? Is it fake? Or did Wang Qing the Great lie to us?" Zhao Yu shook her head and said with certainty, "It can't be fake. This intellectual sword has already proven its power. It can even kill a titled martial artist, Wu Jun. How can it be fake? Even if it's not fake, there must be something wrong with this guy's body. Yes, he obtained the 6 Dao inheritance. He must have used a secret technique to stop you from severing your feelings for him." The Empress Dowager's eyes were red. She wanted to crush Yi Fei into powder. She wanted to see how Yi Fei could provoke Zhao Yu and ruin her grand plan of grooming an empress. Since the intellectual sword is useless, you can kill him yourself." The Empress Dowager looked at Yi Fei viciously. Old witch. Yi Fei stared coldly at the Empress Dowager. If possible, he really wanted to kill this old witch right now. If she hadn't forced him, Zhao Yu wouldn't have cultivated such a heartless skill. Unfortunately, under the suppression of Zhao Yu's 1 million combat power, unless he used the immortal sword soul, he wouldn't be able to break free from Zhao Yu's suppression and kill the Empress Dowager in front of him. Are we really going to awaken the undying sword soul and become enemies with Zhao Yu? Yi Fei was a little hesitant. Similarly, Zhao Yu's face was full of hesitation. To her, killing Yi Fei now was the best opportunity for her to cut off her connection with Yi Fei. As long as Yi Fei died, her Tao of the Great Oblivion would immediately be perfected. However, when she saw that Yi Fei still held the Phoenix Blood sword tightly in his hand, Zhao Yu's heart trembled strangely. A corner of her mind that she had forgotten reappeared in her mind. It was a strange memory that made her feel very vexed. "Yi Fei, if you don't want to die, then tell me honestly. What method did you use to prevent the intellectual sword from hurting you?" Zhao Yu sighed softly and didn't listen to the Empress Dowager's opinion. Instead, she stared coldly into Yi Fei's eyes. Yi Fei also looked very seriously into Zhao Yu's eyes and said in a low voice, "If I said that our feelings have already surpassed the intellectual sword, would you believe me?" Hearing Yi Fei's strange words, Zhao Yu's expression clearly became a little flustered. "Yi Fei, you're really boring." After all, she cultivated the Tao of the Great Oblivion and was a martial artist with emperor's physique. Zhao Yu was born extraordinary, so how could she be affected by Yi Fei's words? She quickly became calm again. "Yi Fei, no matter what method you use, this method definitely won't last long. If you won't waste time, I'll waste time with you." Boom! Zhao Yu waved her hand and an ice mountain rose from the ground, sealing her, the Empress Dowager, and Yi Fei inside at the same time, preventing the desert fire poison from attacking them. This also made it convenient for her to study how to use the intellectual sword to cut off the last connection with Yi Fei. Yi Fei felt incomparably depressed. Could it be that he would tell Zhao Yu that her research could only be in vain? It was obvious that the intellectual sword could not hurt him because he had the undying sword soul secretly protecting him. The intellectual sword had a spirit. When it sensed the aura of the undying sword soul, it naturally did not dare to hurt Yi Fei. It seems that this intellectual sword is very strange. Zhao Yu doesn't seem to be able to completely control it. I just don't know how long Zhao Yu will keep me trapped here. Yi Fei thought gloomily. The only thing that made him feel at ease was that the new Zhao Yu's personality was not bad. At least she didn't listen to the old witch Empress Dowager's instigation and have the intention to kill him. At this time, of course, Yi Fei would not take the initiative to expose the secret of the undying sword soul. Instead, he deliberately lowered his head and let Zhao Yu do whatever she wanted. In his heart, he was secretly planning to escape. At the same time that Yi Fei was trapped in the desert, the young martial kings were still gathered outside the Forsaken Land also began to go their separate ways. Qin Mingyao was taken away by the Chun family's patriarch on the spot, afraid that something would happen to her. The Northern Desolation Country was even more exaggerated. They directly sent 10 invincible martial kings and 100,000 soldiers to surround the entire quicksand city. They even spared no expense and directly set up a long-distance teleportation gate to make it convenient for Lin Tianjiao to return as quickly as possible. When he returned to the palace, he saw that the Northern Desolation Country's monarch had personally come out to welcome him instead of chasing after Yi Fei. Only then did Lin Tianjiao heave a sigh of relief. "Monarch, fortunately you didn't chase after Yi Fei." "Chase after Yi Fei? Why would I chase after this junior? We have a good relationship with the Northern Ocean Country. I'm afraid that other than that idiot, the king of Northern Plains, no one would be so arrogant as to chase after the successor of an ancient sacred sect." The Northern Desolation Country's monarch laughed. Lin Tianjiao was very surprised. The king of Northern Plains has already made his move? Then isn't Yi Fei very dangerous? Dangerous? Do you think that the people of the ancient sacred sect are fools? It wasn't easy for them to choose their successor, and then they deliberately let him go and sent him to his death? Fu Renjia. You have to remember that in this world, there are two kinds of sections. One is the sects that are overseen by experts. Such sects are usually short-lived and can't last long. The other is the ancient sacred sect. They have been in Wangu for a long time. As long as the inheritance continues, even if such a sect doesn't have a single disciple, it's still not something that ordinary Wu Jun like us can provoke. In another palace, the Northern Desolation Country's monarch kindly warned Fu Renjia, who had just returned. Just like the Northern Desolation Country's monarch, this time he also resisted the temptation. I'm afraid that only a greedy person like the king of Northern Plains would set his sights on Yi Fei. Does he really think that these sects with the inheritance of Wangu will let their inheritance fall into the hands of outsiders? The Northern Desolation Country's monarch looked at the gradually darkening sky with a cold smile on his face. Fu Renjia's body trembled. "Uncle, do you mean that if Yi Fei is in trouble, the 6 sacred sects might intervene?" The Northern Desolation Country's monarch suddenly looked at Fu Renjia excitedly and laughed. "Huh, how many years has it been? You're finally willing to call me uncle. This way, even if I die in battle soon, I won't have to worry about the Northern Desolation Country having no successor." The Northern Desolation Country's monarch suddenly laughed loudly. This gave Fu Renjia a bad feeling. However, before he could ask any questions, a terrifying force suddenly imprisoned him in the depths of the palace. "Fu Renjia, from today onwards, you'll hide in there. You can't come out until you're a titled Wu Jun. Don't worry. Your uncle will risk his life and protect you." The Northern Desolation Country's monarch's eyes flashed with determination. Then, he looked in the direction of the Northern Desolation Country. Chapter 668. The Death of a Monarch. Zhu Zhun, Beigong Chun. Let's part ways here. Jing Wushou brought his men over to bid farewell to Zhu Zhun. The Taishan sacred ground was in the North Sea. After participating in the Forsaken Lands assessment, they had to return as soon as possible to report back to the sacred ground. "All right, Brother Jing, let's part ways here. I hope that Yi Fei is blessed by the heavens." Zhu Zhun could not help but worry when he saw that they had all returned and there was no news of Yi Fei. "Don't worry, fourth prince. Brother Fei will be fine." Luo Shi's attitude was very firm. Then he said to Jing Wushou, "Senior Brother Jing, I won't return to the sacred ground for now. I plan to go home and move the Luo family to the North Sea Pass." "I see. Be careful, Luo Shi." Jing Wushou nodded and left with the 10th prince, Shifeng, and the others. Zhu Zhun and the others rushed to the imperial capital. Luo Shi also spread his wings and turned into a spiritual eagle, planning to return to his hometown alone. He did not know that when he left, a pair of bloodthirsty eyes stared coldly at him. The eyes then looked up in the direction of the imperial capital of Beiyang Kingdom and laughed coldly. Not long after, the imperial capital of Beiyang Kingdom. Inside the palace, the king of Beiyang Kingdom sat on the dragon throne with a tired face. Beside him stood the northern heavenly king and the western heavenly king. However, these two heavenly kings did not look too good. The western heavenly king had lost an arm, but seeing the king of Beiyang Kingdom's weak state, the two did not hesitate to transfer their vital essences to the king of Beiyang Kingdom. Ahem, there's no need. The king of Beiyang Kingdom smiled, but his expression was obviously weak. This made the western heavenly king and the northern heavenly king very sad. They knelt together and said, "Your Majesty, take care of yourself." "Take care. I want to take care, but I'm afraid I won't be able to hold on until Yi Fei returns with the divine bone. Now that the eastern heavenly king and the southern heavenly king have died in battle, the two of you are the last hope of Beiyang Kingdom. Before the strong enemies come, leave immediately and find Zhu and the others. Then take them to the northern wilderness kingdom and wait for Yi Fei's return." The king ordered. The western heavenly king and the northern heavenly king were shocked when they heard this order. Their heavenly king and the northern heavenly king were both grief and indignation. But they did not say anything. They could. The northern heavenly king said, "The heavenly king, the heavenly king, and the Yu king. Did the Chaz king, Nilu king Lu? Is Yangshi s Shurjan's? Lu is it? Bies? Yi, the heavenly king to be the northern heavenly king laughed out loud. Ha ha, never underestimate the ancient sacred sects. Sects can be destroyed, but their legacies are eternal. The enemy is here. Leave now. Let me burn my blood for the northern heavenly king one last time." Boom! Blood cheese soared into the sky, shocking the entire imperial capital. Soon after, another blood-like rainbow crossed the entire imperial capital like a boiling river, causing countless martial artists in the imperial capital to be shocked. What's going on? Why is the king burning his blood essence all of a sudden? Who are those people in the sky? Heavens! How can there be so many martial kings? It's like an army of martial kings. The cultivators of the imperial capital all looked at the sky in shock. At the same time, the sharp-eyed people recognized two familiar figures in the army of martial kings. By Tianyun, by Tiansheng. When did they become 10th level martial kings? They even joined these people to invade our imperial capital. Many warriors in the imperial capital were furious when they saw the Bai brothers in the blood-colored martial king army. In the palace, the northern heavenly king's expression was complicated. His entire body was burning with blood-colored flames as he stepped into the sky. Blood Demon Sect leader, it was indeed you who colluded with the Bai family back then and plotted against me. The northern heavenly king looked angrily at an old figure in front of the large group of blood-robed martial kings. This figure was the Blood Demon Sect leader. He let out a strange laugh and said, "Brother Zhu, we didn't collude with the Bai family. It was the Bai family who colluded with us. Back then, we didn't have any intention of killing you. We just saw that you were a talent and wanted to recruit you into our Blood Demon Sect. It's a pity that back then, for the sake of the throne, you actually disdained my Blood Demon Church. I had no choice but to deal a heavy blow. However, for you to be able to hold on until now and not die, you really have a tough life." He. The Blood Demon Church Master let out a sinister laugh. Then, he stopped talking and retreated behind a blood-robed youth. He pointed at the blood-robed youth and said, "I forgot to introduce him to you. This is my master and also the young master of our Blood Demon Sect. Brother Zhu, if you know what's good for you, surrender now. I can still help you plead for mercy in front of the young master on account of our past friendship." Shut up. The Blood Demon Sect is inhumane. They're just a bunch of beasts and slaves. In this world, there are only kings who die in battle. There are no cowards who surrender. The northern heavenly king roared and interrupted the Blood Demon Sect leader's words. Boom! His words infuriated the thousands of blood-robed martial kings in the sky. The blood-robed youth finally looked at the northern heavenly king with his cold eyes. "What did you just say? How dare you call our noble blood Shura a beast?" "Fine, because of what you said, I'll take you as the first title battle pet warrior I kill. Wu Jun. Kill." The entire sky trembled. The blood-robed youth stretched out his hand and grabbed the air in front of him. A blood eagle suddenly appeared on his shoulder. It let out a deafening roar and clawed at the sky with its sharp claws. A hole appeared in the sky. The blood eagle clawed at the northern heavenly king. Even though he was a title battle pet warrior, Wu Jun, he felt suffocated and fearful. As for the martial artists in the imperial capital, they all widened their eyes in fear as they watched the battle in the sky. Sword slashes the demons. A terrifying sword glow lit up the sky. It turned out that the northern heavenly king also used a sword. He even had a divine weapon in his hand. He burned his blood essence. His entire being was like a burning torch. He waved the sword in his hand, trying to kill the blood eagle. However, the blood eagle was too fast and too ferocious. As the blood-robed youth laughed coldly, the blood eagle's ferocious nature suddenly flared up. It let out a ferocious cry. Its huge claws were like heavenly hooks. They tore the sky apart and shattered the sword glow in front of it. In the end, the blood eagle's sharp claws collided with the northern heavenly king's divine weapon. The blood eagle exerted all its strength and twisted its claws. The northern heavenly king was horrified to see his divine weapon shatter. At the same time, he was grabbed by the blood eagle and thrown to the ground like a meteorite. Boom! The entire imperial palace was shaking. Then it was destroyed. Countless martial artists in the imperial palace were killed by this attack. The other martial artists in the imperial capital saw this scene, and their hearts trembled. They couldn't believe that the powerful king who had protected the northern heavenly king for more than 100 years was defeated just like that. Boom! Suddenly, there was a loud explosion in the sky above the imperial palace. This explosion made the hearts of the martial artists in the imperial capital sink to the bottom. The monarch had resolutely chosen to self-detonate. This self-detonation finally blasted the blood eagle into pieces. The young man in the crimson robe frowned as he watched this scene. "You would rather self-detonate than surrender. You have some backbone. Unfortunately, self-detonation won't work in front of my spiritual eagle." The blood-robed youth snapped his fingers at the blood eagle that had been blown into pieces. Chapter 669. Blood Demon Wreak Havoc. This body, and the spiritual eagle are not bad. They can barely display the strength of the blood Azura. Unfortunately, Yi Fei was abandoned by the heavens. Otherwise, I would have taken his body. With his war demon body, he would have been able to perfectly display the strength of the blood Azura. The blood-red clothed youth did not care. Following the death of the Northern Ocean monarch, countless martial kings of the Northern Ocean country rushed into the sky in grief and indignation. Although he didn't care, the blood demon churchmaster didn't dare to be careless. When he saw the martial artists rushing over, he immediately bowed and asked, "Young master, now that the Northern Ocean king is dead, how should we deal with these martial artists from the Northern Ocean kingdom? Do you even need to ask? Kill them if they don't surrender. We can use their corpses to create more blood bodhi and form my army of martial kings. Pass down my order. Kill all warriors who dare to resist." The blood-red clothed youth said coldly. The thousands of blood-robed martial kings behind him, including the Bai brothers, all cheered with fanatical expressions. "Long live the young master. Long live the blood demon sect. The blood demon sect will unify the northern region and last for thousands of years." Boom, boom, boom. An army of thousands of martial kings was terrifying. When they charged down, the indignant martial kings in the imperial capital were immediately annihilated. "Father." Outside the imperial capital, the fourth prince, Zhu Zhen, happened to return with a group of young martial kings from the Northern Ocean country. He happened to see the Northern Ocean monarch explode himself and the thousands of blood-robed martial kings wantonly slaughtering in the imperial capital. Zhu Zhen could not believe his eyes. Then, like a madman, He rushed to the imperial capital alone and charged at the blood-red clothed youth. Luo Shi, return my father's life. Luo Shi, this blood-red clothed youth, he is Luo Shi? How could he be Luo Shi? Qin Bing and the others were shocked. They had seen Luo Shi before. He was only a fifth-layer martial king and was Yi Fei's brother. How could he be entangled with the Blood Demon sect and have the strength to kill the Northern Ocean monarch? Could it be that Luo Shi has been acting all this time? Did he trick us and Yi Fei? Long Gang said angrily. Something's not right. He's not Luo Shi. His aura is completely different from Luo Shi's. And that spirit eagle doesn't seem to have a soul either. Bei Gongchun suddenly noticed something. She shook her head and made her own judgment. Regardless of whether the blood-red clothed young man was Luo Shi or not, it was a fact that the Northern Ocean King had died in battle. This was also a heavy blow to the young martial kings of the Northern Ocean Kingdom who had returned with a full load. The monarch is dead. The Blood Demon sect seems to want to unify the northern region. What should we do now? Fight or flee? The monarch had died in battle, and Zhu Zhan had fallen into great grief and had lost his mind. All the young martial kings were in a state of confusion. Then the West Heaven King's angry scolding came from the sky. A bunch of idiots. The monarch is dead, but we are still here. What are you panicking for? Fourth Prince, my condolences. Our Bayong Kingdom still needs you. You mustn't be rash. The Northern Heavenly King immediately knocked out the crazy Zhu Zhan and nodded to his daughter, Bei Gongchun. Bei Gongchun, immediately take everyone and escape from the imperial capital with us. Escape from the Northern Ocean Kingdom. The Northern Heavenly King took one last look at the imperial capital with tears in his eyes. He turned around and left without looking back. While the two heavenly kings were retreating with everyone, the bustling imperial capital had already turned into a bloody battlefield. The Northern Ocean King had used his death in battle to tell everyone that he was unyielding as a king. As a wise king of a generation, many warriors in the imperial capital were influenced and refused to surrender even in the face of death. They used their own flesh and blood to block the army of thousands of martial kings. They also bought some time for many juniors in the imperial capital to escape. West Heaven King, what happened in the imperial capital? Why did father die in battle? Zhu Zhan woke up halfway. He did not continue to go crazy. Instead, he questioned the West Heaven King in grief. The West Heaven King's eyes were filled with grief. He sighed and said, "It's the Blood Demon sect. After 100 years of dormancy, they finally couldn't help but take action. They want to unify the northern region and turn the entire northern region into a hell on earth where they can create monsters as they wish." The king was unable to resist them. Right now, no one in the northern region can stop the Blood Demon sect. The battle in the Northern Ocean Kingdom lasted for a full 10 days. After 10 days, the Northern Ocean Kingdom was completely occupied by the Blood Demon sect. All the warriors who did not surrender were either killed or fled the Northern Ocean Kingdom. Even the warriors who surrendered did not have a good ending. They were forcefully fed blood bodhi by the Blood Demon sect and transformed into blood-robed martial kings. Not only did they lose their lifetime's potential, but their nature was also distorted. They had completely become the Blood Demon sect's killing tools. After 100 years of dormancy and planning, the Blood Demon sect had stored a huge amount of blood bodhi. In addition, they had continuously killed the warriors of the Northern Ocean Kingdom and crazily cultivated them. In just a short month, the Blood Demon sect's army of thousands of martial kings had become an army of tens of thousands of martial kings. Countless evil demon cultivators had surrendered to them. After destroying the Northern Ocean Kingdom, the Blood Demon sect did not stop. Under the personal leadership of the Blood Demon sect's king, a total of 3 Wu Juns were preparing to attack the family Ye's sword mansion at the same time. However, the king of the Northern Ocean Kingdom had made sufficient arrangements before his death. Not only did he order the West Heaven King and the Northern Heavenly King to protect Zhu Zhan and escape, he also secretly informed the family Yi. After receiving the news, the Yi Jian immediately took action. He quickly evacuated the Northern Sea Pass with the family Yi. After meeting up with the disciples of the Holy Land, led by the sword maniac elder, they all retreated to the border of the northern wilderness kingdom. Here, after hearing that the northern ocean kingdom had been destroyed by the blood demon sect, the king of the northern wilderness kingdom immediately gathered 90% of the kingdom's army. A total of 2 million soldiers were stationed in the city at the border of the two kingdoms. At the same time, the king of the northern wilderness kingdom received news that the blood demon sect had used various methods to subdue half of the hidden titled warriors in the northern region, Wu Jun, during the past 100 years. This combined force was enough to make the king of the northern wilderness kingdom fearful. Therefore, he could only bide his time and did not dare to take the initiative to attack the fallen northern ocean kingdom. The king of the northern wilderness kingdom did not relent. Although Zhu Zhen and the others were eager to take revenge, they had no choice but to continue staying in the city. At the same time, they could also inquire about Yi Fei's whereabouts. However, after 2 months, there was still no news of Yi Fei. Many people began to spread rumors that Yi Fei might have been killed by Wu Jun. However, Jing Wushou and the others did not believe this news because they had already heard that the king of northern plains had mysteriously died in the desert. This was also why they believed that Yi Fei was still alive. The only thing that troubled Jing Wushou was that he did not know how to explain to Yi Fei about Luo Shi when Yi Fei returned. Obviously, Luo Shi had already joined the Blood Demon sect and had become the young master with the highest status in the Blood Demon sect. Under his orders, not long after the Northern Ocean Kingdom was annexed, a large group of blood-robed martial kings killed their way into the chaotic Northern Plains Kingdom, which was without a king. At this time, Song Yu finally had his own stage, especially the young martial kings who had entered the Forsaken Land. After coming out, their combat strength had greatly increased. Under the command of Song Yu's reputation as the Crown Prince, they all gathered around Song Yu to resist the invasion of the Blood Demon sect. However, the Blood Demon sect Blood Bodhi was too strange. When a blood-robed martial king died in battle, they dug out the Blood Bodhi and put it into another person's body. That person would immediately become a new blood-robed martial king. Chapter 670. Zhao Yu's departure resisting the Blood Demon sect was not something that a single country could bear. It was the responsibility of all the martial artists in the northern region. Therefore, even though the northern wilderness heavenly king knew that his country was empty, he still accepted the remaining troops of the Beiyuan kingdom led by Song Yu and guarded the border between the northern wilderness heavenly kingdom and Beiyuan kingdom, forming the second line of defense against the Blood Demon sect. When Zhu Zhen, who was far away at the border, received the news, he was so angry that he couldn't eat for several days. He complained to the Western Heavenly King and the Northern Heavenly King, "Uncle Wang, it seems that we can't stay in the Northern Wilderness Heavenly King any longer. The Northern Wilderness Heavenly King has been biding his time and doesn't allow us to go to the Northern Wilderness Imperial Capital. He has no intention of helping us restore our country. He just wants to use us to help him wear down the power of the Blood Demon sect." Zhu Zhen had obviously grown a lot after the death of the Northern Wilderness Heavenly King. With the support of the Western Heavenly King and the Northern Heavenly King, the remaining troops of the Northern Wilderness Heavenly King all gathered under Zhu Zhen's banner. Even people like Jing Wushou from the Taishan Sacred Ground had entered Zhu Zhen's army and taken up important positions. However, Zhu Zhen knew that no matter how many people they had, it would be difficult to resist the Blood Demon sect's huge army of martial kings and Wu Jun's surprise attack with just the injured sword maniac Divine Lord. If only Yi Fei could come back now, with his combat strength. Even if he can't defeat the young master of the Blood Demon sect, he would definitely be able to help us stabilize the situation. The Western Heavenly King sighed. Even the Northern Heavenly King and Zhu Zhen fell into silence. It had been 2 months since the end of the Battle of Inheritance. After so long, there was still no news from Yi Fei. Among the remaining troops of the Northern Wilderness Heavenly King, the news of Yi Fei's death kept increasing. If it weren't for the sword maniac Divine Lord, who was a titled Wu Jun, and the strict management of the 2 Heavenly Kings, this huge army would have collapsed long ago. While Zhu Zhen and the others were anxiously waiting for Yi Fei's return, the Northern Wilderness Kingdom suddenly discovered something that shocked the entire northern region. Song Yu, who had retreated into the northern wilderness with the remnants of his army, did not follow the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch's plan and help him defend the other border. Not long after Song Yu retreated, he ordered the entire army to surrender to the Blood Demon sect. He even opened the border and cooperated with the Blood Demon sect to mercilessly slaughter the Northern Wilderness soldiers at the border. Lin Tianjiao, who was also guarding the border, was almost killed by Song Yu's sneak attack. Lin Tianjiao was lucky to have escaped with a treasure he obtained from the Saint Palace. However, with Lin Tianjiao's defeat and Song Yu's betrayal, the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch soon fell into a state of disintegration. The Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch, who had a good plan, could not wait for the sword maniac Divine Lord to bring his army to rescue him. Under the fierce siege of the 10 titled warriors of the Blood Demon sect, Wu Jun, the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch, tragically died in battle. If it were not for the fact that the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch, who was the only one who was not affected, forced his way in with his army at the critical moment, the entire Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch, including Lin Tianjiao, would have been annihilated. However, even though the battle in the northern region was so fierce, with thousands of warriors dying in battle with the Blood Demon sect's army every day, there was still no news of Yi Fei. Gradually, not only did the remnants of the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch's army spread the news of Yi Fei's death, but many people in the entire northern region believed that Yi Fei might have died under the pursuit of many Wu Juns. The only people who still had hope for Yi Fei were the sword maniac Divine Lord, Jing Wushou, Zhu Zhen, Qin Bing, and a few others. However, although they still had hope for Yi Fei, no one dared to continue waiting for Yi Fei. With Song Yu's betrayal, the Blood Demon sect took over 2 large countries in the northern region in one breath. Countless families and sects were forced by the power of the Blood Demon sect, and were either destroyed or simply surrendered to the Blood Demon sect. Zhu Zhen and the others had no choice but to retreat to the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch's territory with their remnants under his suggestion. The 3 large countries formed an alliance temporarily to barely stabilize the situation. However, everyone knew that this situation was only temporary. Once the Blood Demon sect consolidated their territory and concentrated on attacking the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch, the entire northern region would basically fall into the hands of the Blood Demon sect if no one could resist the attack of the Blood Demon Young Master. Of course, Yi Fei wasn't aware of this news at all. Ever since he was sealed in the Ice Mountain by Zhao Yu, Yi Fei repeated the same thing every day. That was, Zhao Yu held the intellectual sword and constantly stabbed him here and there. However, what shocked Zhao Yu was that the intellectual sword in her hand was clearly real, but no matter what she did, she couldn't hurt Yi Fei. Naturally, she couldn't sever the connection between her and Yi Fei. On this day, Zhao Yu's body was half in flames and half in ice. She pushed the intellectual sword to its limits and ruthlessly stabbed at Yi Fei's body. You can do it. We'll definitely succeed this time. After trying for 2 months without being able to kill Yi Fei, the Empress Dowager was so anxious that wrinkles appeared on her face. This time, when she saw Zhao Yu attack with all her might, the Empress Dowager was so happy that she wanted to clap her hands. This evil creature who harmed her was finally going to be dealt with. The Empress Dowager was filled with joy. However, her joy only lasted for a second. Her expression was as ugly as it could be. Zhao Yu also looked at the intellectual sword in her hand in astonishment. She still didn't manage to stab it in? What exactly went wrong? Not to mention the Empress Dowager going crazy when she saw this scene. Even Zhao Yu's heart, which was as calm as an ancient well, suddenly felt like going crazy. This scourge, why won't he die? Why won't he let my Yu off? The Empress Dowager already had a pained expression on her face. She looked at Yi Fei as if she was looking at a huge pest. She suddenly suggested coldly, why don't you stop working and just kill this kid? No, I promised her that I wouldn't hurt Yi Fei. I just need to cut off my connection with him. Zhao Yu was very stubborn. The intellectual sword kept slashing Yi Fei's body. In the beginning, Yi Fei was still a little afraid. However, after being continuously stabbed by Zhao Yu for so long without success, Yi Fei was already starting to feel a little numb. Clearly, with the undying sword soul secretly intimidating him, the intellectual sword in Zhao Yu's hand was unable to hurt him. From the looks of it, Zhao Yu also didn't seem like she would kill him. In his boredom, Yi Fei couldn't help but try to persuade her. Zhao Yu, I think you should stop working. I already said that our love is stronger than gold. I'm afraid this intellectual sword won't be able to cut off your love for me. Bang! Before he could finish speaking, Yi Fei already felt his body being kicked 7 or 8 meters away by Zhao Yu. Only then did he realize that he had accidentally said something wrong and made Zhao Yu anxious. However, although she was kicked, Zhao Yu's heart was still affected to a certain extent. Her face was slightly red as she fell into deep thought. Could it be that my feelings for him in the past were really so deep that even the intellectual sword didn't work on him? Seeing Zhao Yu's face alternating between red and white, the Empress Dowager's heart thumped. She suddenly felt a sense of worry. The supreme indifference required one to forget their feelings. From then on, they would become one with the heavens and set foot on the heavenly Tao. If Zhao Yu and Yi Fei spent too much time together and suddenly developed feelings for each other, that would be terrible. Not only would Zhao Yu not be able to become the Empress, but she might even be in danger of going berserk. No, I can't let them be together. Even if I have to keep this scourge, I can't let anything happen to you, Emperor's path. Speaking of which, although the Empress Dowager was ruthless, she was still very concerned about Zhao Yu. With this worry, the Empress Dowager immediately walked over and held Zhao Yu's hand. Let's stop working. It won't be long before the chaotic ocean rises. If we don't leave now, it will only be more difficult for us to go to the middle state. Chapter 671. Tomb Keeper Zhao Yu put away the intellectual sword and did not look at Yi Fei. The sealed iceberg had disappeared. She turned around and was about to leave when the Empress Dowager suddenly thought of something. She called out to Zhao Yu, "Hold on, this brat has obtained the sage sex inheritance. It might be in his space ring. We can't let it go." The Empress Dowager looked at Yi Fei coldly and suddenly walked over. Yi Fei knew what the Empress Dowager was going to do. He pretended to panic and said, "Old witch, what are you doing?" Of course I'm going to take away your good fortune. I'm going to make sure you never have the chance to catch up with you, I'm going to take away your sage sex inheritance." After saying that, she unceremoniously looted Yi Fei's space ring. Of course, if the Empress Dowager knew that there were no treasures in Yi Fei's space ring and that the most important treasures were in Xiao Chao's space ring, she would probably die from anger on the spot. On the surface, Yi Fei still looked angry. He scolded the Empress Dowager loudly. "Old witch, you'll die a horrible death. When I become a martial sage, you'll be the first person I'll deal with." "Haha, go ahead and scold me. When you become a martial sage, you will be a martial emperor. When that time comes, it'll be your death." After taking Yi Fei's spatial ring, the Empress Dowager was in a very good mood. Suddenly, she noticed the phoenix blood sword that was still circling around Yi Fei. The Empress Dowager wanted to take it away as well to give Yi Fei a heartache. Imperial great-grandmother, that's enough. Zhao Yu suddenly could not stand it anymore, especially when she saw the phoenix blood sword. She suddenly felt a stabbing pain in her heart. However, Zhao Yu quickly forced herself to forget this feeling. Her eyes became colder than ever before. She suddenly threw a map at Yi Fei. "Yi Fei, I won't kill you for her sake. However, this is the end of our relationship. From today onwards, I, Zhao Yu, only have the Emperor's road in my eyes. I have no more worries. Imperial great-grandmother, let's go." Zhao Yu didn't give the Empress Dowager a chance to loot the phoenix blood sword. With a wave of his hand, he brought the Empress Dowager into a mysterious territory entrance and disappeared. I didn't think that she would become so powerful in just 3 years. Martial artists with Emperor's looks are indeed born extraordinary. It won't be easy to catch up to her. Yi Fei sighed. He knew that Zhao Yu had completely left this time. For a martial artist of DZ, the northern domain was still too small. Only the Central Plains was her stage. However, if you didn't have anything to worry about, why did you throw me a map behind the Empress Dowager's back? Zhao Yu, I knew that the old you didn't disappear. No matter where you are, no matter what you become in the future, I will find you and find the old you. Yi Fei looked at the map on the ground, his eyes flashing with determination. Without Zhao Yu's suppression, Yi Fei easily shattered the ice chains on his body with his strength. Then Yi Fei subconsciously wanted to take out a clean set of clothes to change out of the rags on his body. Then he remembered that the Empress Dowager had already looted his interspatial ring. Yi Fei smiled bitterly. He looked at the beggar's clothes that had been riddled with holes by Zhao Yu in the past 2 months. As a dignified Northern Domain Holy King, he couldn't possibly go out and meet people like this. Fortunately, this place isn't far from Shang City. Why don't I loot Shang City again? At the same time, I can also gather information about the Northern Domain. Yi Fei put away the Phoenix Bloodsword and picked up the map that Zhao Yu had thrown out. He didn't even have time to look at it carefully. Boom! Using the void steps, Yi Fei arrived at Shang City with ease. He was prepared to catch up with Shang City and loot it. However, Shang City was covered in sand. It seemed that the bandits hadn't come for a long time. Yi Fei's face darkened. Damn, these bandits actually ran away. It turned out that when he found out that Yi Fei had obtained the Glory Sex inheritance and had become the invincible Northern Domain Holy King, Shang felt that if he stayed in Shang City, he might be punished by Yi Fei in the future. Coincidentally, the Blood Demon sect was attacking the Northern Domain and was also recruiting demons. They said that they wanted to turn the Northern Domain into a demon's domain. On one hand, he was afraid. On the other hand, he was tempted. Shang quickly decided to lead all the bandits out of the desert to help the Blood Demon sect. He wanted to use this opportunity to gain the protection of the Blood Demon sect. However, this group of bandits ran very quickly. Yi Fei felt that he was really unlucky as a person abandoned by the heavens. In this vast desert, it was so difficult to find a single bandit to rob. Forget it. Since I can't find them, let's take a look at the map Zhao Yu gave me. Yi Fei opened the map again. After looking at it for a full hour, he raised his head in shock. This is a map of the desert. It even shows the location of the tomb of the Wangqing Grand Emperor. Zhao Yu gave me the tomb of the Grand Emperor. Could it be that Zhao Yu had been cultivating in the tomb of the Great Emperor during the 3 years that he had disappeared? No wonder his cultivation was so fast, and even the Empress Dowager had broken through to the 10th level of the Martial King realm. I must go to such a treasure trove. Since Zhao Yu gave this map to me, there might be treasures there that can make up for the loss of his spatial ring. That's right, it was a loss. When Zhao Yu saw that Yi Fei's space ring had been looted, he felt a little apologetic, which was why he had given the map to Yi Fei. However, Zhao Yu soon regretted giving the map to Yi Fei. This was because Yi Fei's spatial ring had already been emptied by Xiao Chao. Even if it had been stolen, it wouldn't have been much of a loss. On the other hand, the tomb of the Grand Emperor that Zhao Yu had given him was a real benefit. Not long after the Empress Dowager left with Zhao Yu, she curiously opened Yi Fei's spatial ring to take a look. She was so angry that she spat out a mouthful of blood. It was empty. 3 days passed quickly. According to the map, Yi Fei finally found the entrance to the tomb of the Great Emperor. What surprised him was that the tomb of the Great Emperor was very simple. It was just a simple sand cave. An old man with a face full of wind and sand stood at the entrance of the cave. When Yi Fei saw the old man, he was shocked. "Old man, why are you here?" This old man was none other than the stone-cracking old man from Quicksand City. Yi Fei originally thought that he had implicated the old man and caused him to run away. Who knew that the old man would appear in front of the tomb of the Grand Emperor? Why can't it be me? Young Master Yi, how did you find the tomb of the Grand Emperor? Who guided you here? The old man was even more surprised when he saw Yi Fei. There was even a hint of wariness in his voice. Not wanting to cause any misunderstandings, Yi Fei quickly took out the map and said, Zhao Yu gave me the map and told me to come here. What? Princess Zhao Yu? That little girl who also cultivates the unruffled path like the Grand Emperor? I didn't expect her to not only decipher the Grand Emperor's mystic realm in just 3 years, but she also found the location of the tomb of the Grand Emperor. She even gave it to you in the end. She is indeed a martialist with the bearing of a Grand Emperor. This little girl might become another Grand Emperor in the future. The old man sighed. When he saw the map in Yi Fei's hand, he took it almost piously and knelt down in front of the tomb. Then he stood up and said, "Child, since you have the map, I can bring you into the tomb of the Grand Emperor." "Old man, what is your identity?" Yi Fei couldn't help but ask curiously. My identity? As you can see, I am a spirit eye master who has lost his spirit eye. I am also the guardian of the Grand Emperor's tomb for generations." The old man smiled kindly, but there was a trace of bitterness in his smile. After learning of the old man's identity, Yi Fei was secretly surprised. This old man didn't seem to have much strength, but he was actually the guardian of the Grand Emperor's tomb. Since he was a guardian, why would he appear in Quicksand City to help others cut open stones? Also, was it a coincidence that he had cut open the Grand Emperor's ring? Or was it deliberately sent to him by this old man? Yi Fei couldn't help but be deeply puzzled. The old man also saw Yi Fei's puzzlement. He smiled and bitterly said, "Young Master Yi, I know you have many doubts. I will explain them to you one by one when you come out of the tomb of the Grand Emperor. But for now, you should hurry up and go in." The old man's voice was a little hurried, as if he was looking forward to it. Chapter 672. 10 Emperors locking the coffin. Looking at the old man's strange expression, Yi Fei felt that something was amiss. However, the old man was only a rank 10 martial honorable. He wasn't even a martial king. Yi Fei also felt that the old man didn't seem to have any ill intentions towards him. Forget it. Who cares about that? It wasn't easy to come across the tomb of Great Emperor Wang Qing. How can I not go in and take a look? Yi Fei lifted his foot and walked into the entrance of the sand cave. As the only martial emperor in the North region, Yi Fei was similar to the other martial emperors in the North region. He admired and was curious. Furthermore, Zhao Yu cultivated the same cultivation technique as Great Emperor Wang Qing. It's just that the flaw in the way of the Great Oblivion is too obvious. To become a martial emperor, one must completely forget about emotions. What should I do to free Zhao Yu from the way of the Great Oblivion? Yi Fei thought about Zhao Yu's matter as he walked. He walked very carefully, step by step. He was constantly paying attention to the changes in the environment in the sand cave. However, Yi Fei was a little oversensitive this time. There were no traps or dangers in the sand cave. Looks like I'm being paranoid. However, I feel that the old man's expression is a little strange. Yi Fei did not let down his guard. He continued to walk deeper into the sand cave. The sand cave was very long. The deeper he went, the steeper the ground became. Yi Fei realized that the sand cave continued to extend underground. After walking for about 2 hours, Yi Fei estimated that he had already walked 1,000 meters underground. Suddenly, there was a flash of light in front of him. A huge underground space appeared in front of Yi Fei. The space was very big. It looked like a huge city that had been destroyed and buried in the desert. North Region, Heavenly Country. Yi Fei saw a few ancient words at the heavily deserted city gate. He was very shocked. Could this be the capital of the North Region's strongest heavenly country 10,000 years ago? The tomb of the Wangqing Great Emperor was actually buried in the ruins of the Kingdom of Heaven. Yi Fei also saw a large amount of stone materials in the ruins, but he didn't have time to observe them. The ruins of the imperial capital had deeply attracted him. After walking into the imperial capital, Yi Fei could still feel the horror of that battle, even though it had been 10,000 years. There were traces of swords and sabers everywhere. The ground was shattered, revealing countless skeletons. Some of the skeletons belonged to King Wu, some belonged to Wu Jun, and some belonged to the absolute ground great being and the heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage. However, what truly shocked Yi Fei was not these skeletons, but an empty space in the middle of the imperial capital. Outside this empty space, there were 10 withered figures sitting cross-legged. They wore imperial robes and had their eyes closed. Their bodies were so withered that only their skin and bones were left. There was no sign of life. However, these 10 people still shocked Yi Fei. This was because Yi Fei felt an aura as strong as that of the demon emperor from them. Martial emperors. These 10 people are all true martial emperors. I didn't expect that so many martial emperors could be born in the northern region 10,000 years ago. Who killed them? Who made them surround the 2 stone coffins in such a posture? Yi Fei was deeply shocked by the scene in front of him. He looked at the 10 martial emperors who had been dead for an unknown number of years, and then looked at the 2 simple stone coffins in the middle of the 10 martial emperors. These 2 stone coffins were placed against a wall. 10 iron chains were wrapped around the coffins, and they were wrapped around the corpses of the 10 martial emperors. The scene was extremely strange, so strange that Yi Fei suddenly came up with a bold idea. Maybe these 10 martial emperors were not killed, but committed suicide. They were using their lives to protect the 2 stone coffins. But isn't this the tomb of great Emperor Wang Qing? Why are there 2 stone coffins in the tomb of a great emperor? If one stone coffin belongs to great Emperor Wang Qing, then who does the other stone coffin belong to? Looking at the 2 stone coffins, Yi Fei was even more confused. He tried to walk into the 2 stone coffins. However, looking at the 10 corpses of the martial emperors surrounding the stone coffins, Yi Fei was a little confused. The tomb of a great emperor is so strange. Can I really go in like this? Yi Fei looked hesitant. He raised his foot and stayed where he was. Yi Fei planned to step back and observe for a while. Just as he was about to step back, roar! Suddenly, a loud roar came from the depths of his mind. The sound was extremely terrifying. Just the sound alone made Yi Fei feel like his soul was being torn apart. What was even more terrifying was that the sound came from the 2 stone coffins. Yi Fei almost thought that the stone coffins had come back to life. He widened his eyes and took a closer look. Only then did he realize that the stone coffins hadn't come back to life. Instead, a simple stone door had appeared behind the wall where the 2 stone coffins stood, without Yi Fei noticing at all. There were runes on the stone door, and there was a ferocious monster image in the middle. It was a monster that had suddenly opened its mouth and let out a formless roar at Yi Fei. It was also this roar that allowed Yi Fei to see the stone door behind the stone coffins. Faintly, a strange enticing sound resounded in Yi Fei's mind. "Let me out. I will bestow upon thee supreme glory. Let him out. Let him out." Yi Fei didn't know what was going on. When he heard this voice, Yi Fei had a violent impulse in his heart. He wanted to destroy the stone door at all costs and release the thing inside. "Ha!" A hand reached out from behind Yi Fei and patted him hard on the shoulder. "Young Master Yi, you can't go any further. If you go any further, the old and decrepit won't be able to save you." He turned around in shock and realized that the person who patted him was the old man guarding the tomb. Yi Fei couldn't help but reveal a hint of fear in his eyes. When he looked at the stone door again, something shocking happened. Not only did the stone door disappear, even the 10 martial emperors' corpses and the 2 stone coffins had all disappeared. Everything that had happened just now was like a dream. However, this dream was so real that Yi Fei remembered every detail clearly. That wasn't an illusion at all. It really happened. "Old man, what's going on? Isn't this the tomb of the great emperor? Why are there 2 stone coffins here? Also, that voice just now, what's with the stone door?" Yi Fei asked in shock. The old man was also very surprised. "What? Not only did you see the stone door, but you also heard the voice behind it." "Oh no, it seems that I've lost my spiritual eye and can't repair the seal on the stone door. The monster behind the stone door has already sensed it." "What kind of monster is behind the stone door?" Yi Fei asked curiously. "Young Master Yi, you're making things difficult for me. I'm just a spiritual master and the most useless one. How would I know so much? I only heard from my ancestors that the destruction of the Northern Divine Kingdom was related to this stone door. The formation of the poisonous fiery desert was also related to this stone door. Chapter 673. Bathing in Dragon Energy. What? The entire northern region is going to be destroyed? The consequences of opening the stone door are so serious. Yifei broke out in a cold sweat. Was Zhao Yu trying to help him or harm him? He actually sent him to such a dangerous place. Of course, Yifei didn't know that he had completely misunderstood Zhao Yu. In fact, Zhao Yu only got the map, but he didn't know what was in the tomb. Generally speaking, if anyone got a clue about the tomb, they would subconsciously think that there might be treasures in it, thus ignoring the dangers of the tomb. Yifei clearly made the same mistake. He quickly retreated a few steps with lingering fear. When the old man retreated to a safe distance, Yifei looked at the old man unhappily and said, "Old man, since you knew that this place was so dangerous, why didn't you warn me when I came in? Young Master Yi, please forgive me. The old and decrepit didn't tell you in advance because he wanted to test you. After all, you were able to open the heaven and earth spiritual eye last time. The old and decrepit thought that you were also a spiritual eye master and finally found a helper." The old man sighed and apologized to Yi Fei again and again. This way, even if Yi Fei was tricked by the old man didn't have any bad intentions. He could only suppress his anger and not flare up. After the old man's explanation, Yi Fei finally understood that the old man had misjudged Yi Fei's identity. He thought that Yi Fei had the heaven and earth spiritual eye and might be a very powerful spiritual eye master. That was why he sent Yi Fei down to see if he could see through the stone door. In the end, Yi Fei was a fake. Not only was he unable to see through the stone door, but he was also almost confused by the monster behind the stone door and made a huge mistake. Only then did the old man realize that he had made a mistake and quickly woke Yi Fei up. Yi Fei was extremely depressed. He couldn't help but criticize the old man. "I say, old man, this is your fault. You spiritual eye masters have been ordered to guard the stone door for generations. You should be cautious and conscientious. You should be guarding this place at all times. Why are you still running around and opening stones for others?" This old man clearly left his post without permission. What if that thing came out from behind the stone door when he wasn't around? Who knew what kind of disaster it would cause? Even if they did not know what was inside, if it was a monster that even martial emperors could not deal with, the consequences would be dire if it rushed out of the stone door. In response to Yi Fei's accusation, a pained expression suddenly flashed across the old man's face. He sighed and said, "Young Master Yi is right. This is all my fault. Back then, I shouldn't have peeked into the stone door out of curiosity. In the end, I made a grave mistake. Not only did my wife and children die, because of me, even my spiritual eye was dug out by that monster. I lost the ability to continue sealing it." The old man pushed aside his hair with a pained expression, revealing a deep bloody hole in his forehead. Inside the hole, one could even see the old man's blood vessels pulsing. Yi Fei was very surprised. "Old man, isn't the thing inside sealed? It actually dug out your spiritual eye? This is bad. Without your spiritual eye, you won't be able to continue sealing the monster inside. Isn't it very likely that it will break the seal and escape?" "Young Master Yi, don't worry. Not only is this stone door sealed by the Great Emperor, but it is also sealed by us spiritual eye masters for generations. It won't be able to break the seal in a short period of time. However, without the support of my spiritual eye, the power of the seal will continue to decline." The old man revealed a pained expression. He sighed and continued, "It's a pity that I've lost my spiritual eye. I can no longer continue strengthening the seal. The only thing I can do is to head to the nearest quicksand city and find a suitable successor to become a spiritual eye master. I hope to cultivate a new spiritual eye master and continue this mission." Yi Fei finally understood why the old man had left the tomb of the Great Emperor. He hadn't left his post without permission. He had wanted to make up for his mistakes. "Then have you found it?" Yi Fei asked curiously. The old man didn't say anything. He just stared straight at Yi Fei. Yi Fei suddenly felt like cursing. This old man is so shameless. You made a mistake, and you want me to help you settle it. Yi Fei was not stupid. Although the stone door threatened the entire northern region, and he could not stay out of it, Yi Fei was determined not to be like the old man and be a tomb keeper for the rest of his life, and not be able to go anywhere. Therefore, Yifei simply pretended not to hear the old man's words. Sigh. The old man sighed again. It seems like young Master Yi has no interest in being a spiritual master. But thinking about it, if it weren't for the blood oath made by our ancestors, our descendants would have to be tomb keepers for generations to come. Even I wouldn't be willing to die of old age in these ruins. Seeing how the old man spoke with emotion, Yifei silently sympathized with the old man. No matter what, it was the old man and the other spiritual masters who had silently guarded the northern region. They were undoubtedly great and had made great sacrifices. Old man, what do you plan to do? We can't just leave this stone door alone. Yifei was a little worried. Even now, he couldn't forget that evil and terrifying voice in his mind. The old man said seriously, "Of course we can't leave it alone. Once the stone door is opened, the world will be destroyed. Young Master Yi, I have another presumptuous request." "Old man, tell me what it is first." Yifei was now very alert. If the old man insisted on keeping him as a tomb keeper, he wouldn't do something that would obviously put him at a disadvantage. Cough, cough. Young Master Yi is indeed a sentimental person. Young Master, don't worry. Since you have no interest in being a spiritual master, the old and decrepit will not force you. The old and decrepit just wants to ask you, if possible, to help me find my lost spiritual eye. As long as the spiritual eye is found, I can reseal the monster inside. The old man looked at Yifei expectantly. Yifei was very surprised when he heard this. "Old man, where is your lost spiritual eye? Why don't you look for it yourself?" "It's not that the old and decrepit doesn't want to, it's that I can't. Every generation of tomb keepers is cursed by the great emperor. If we stray too far from the tomb, we will die. That monster should also know this. Back then, when he tempted me to dig out my spiritual eye, he deliberately threw it in a place where I couldn't find it." The old man's expression was full of pain. Without waiting for Yifei to ask any more questions, he took out a jade talisman and forced it into Yifei's hands. "Young Master Yi, as long as you take this jade talisman, you will be able to find my spiritual eye. Of course, the old and decrepit won't let young Master Yi help for free. I can make an exception and let you bathe in dragon chi once." "What? The tomb of the great emperor has dragon chi?" Yifei was very surprised. Of course. Back then, in order to suppress this stone door, great Emperor Wang Qing gathered 99% of the dragon veins in the northern region here. Otherwise, do you think that just us spiritual masters can suppress the monster behind the stone door? How about it, young Master Yi? As long as you agree to help me, you can bathe in dragon chi. I forgot to tell you that the dragon chi in the tomb of the great emperor is comparable to an emperor-level spirit spring, the old man casually added at the end. It was this sentence that made Yifei's heart skip a beat. Even though he knew that the old man was tempting him, when he thought about the terrifying amount of spirit chi needed to cultivate the combat god Dao, Yifei couldn't refuse. After all, he was also from a northern region. He couldn't just watch the monster behind the stone door come out and destroy the entire northern region. "Senior, don't worry. If I can help protect the world, I, Yifei, will do my best to help," Yifei said seriously. Chapter 674. Initial battle physique. The old man was helpless. Other than Yifei, he couldn't find anyone else to help him. After all, the tomb itself was a secret. Other than those who could find the tomb, the old man couldn't reveal this to anyone else. This was also the restriction of the great emperor's curse. "I hope this young Master Yi is reliable." Sigh. The old man sighed and brought Yifei to the place where the dragon aura was hidden. When Yifei arrived, he suddenly felt a pressure as vast as the starry sky shrouding him. And in this starry sky, formed by dragon chi, not only did Yifei see endless dragon chi like the Milky Way in the nine heavens, but he also saw spirit chi dragons formed in the dragon chi. They were roaring and playing, vivid and lifelike. If it weren't for the fact that they only existed for a short period of time and would be sucked away by an unknown force and destroyed into pure dragon aura, Yi Fei would have suspected that countless spiritual dragons would be born in a few hundred years. Young Master Yi, this is the spiritual aura. You can go in and cultivate for a day. After a day, the great emperor's formation will automatically send you out. The old and decrepit will take his leave first. After the old man finished speaking, he turned into sand and disappeared from the tomb. Outside the sand cave, another elder sandstorm appeared. He was like an ancient statue, guarding the tomb of the great emperor and the entire northern region. However, no one knew how much the old men had sacrificed. They were like the sand under their feet, unremarkable. They couldn't see the future and didn't know where they would end up. I really don't know when our clan will end. The old man had a complicated expression. It was as if he could see the entire north region bleeding. I thought the old man was just saying. I didn't expect the dragon aura here to be so exaggerated. It seems like I owe the old man a favor. When I go back, I'll find some time to get the old man's spiritual eye back. Yi Fei didn't like to owe favors. Once he did, he would find a way to repay it. In Yi Fei's opinion, the best way to help the old man was to help him find the spiritual eye he had lost. He could be considered to have done his part for the northern region. Xiao Qiao, come out and cultivate. Yi Fei subconsciously called out to Xiao Qiao when he saw the vast amount of spiritual energy. In the end, Xiao Qiao didn't respond. In the beastmark space, Xiao Qiao was still sleeping soundly. His body was still covered with a small blanket made of elixirs, and he would kick it from time to time. Come to think of it, not only did those spiritual herbs not die after being tossed around by the Xiao Qiao, but their medicinal effects seemed to be getting stronger and stronger. It really was a strange Xiao Qiao. The Tao of the war god is the Tao of Azura. There are gods, devils, shamans, and monsters in this world, but there is no Azura. Azura is not a race, but a realm, a title. To fight gods and kill demons, one becomes an Azura. To slay shamans and demons, one becomes an Azura. Sitting cross-legged in the boundless dragon Qi, Yi Fei's mind was rapidly filled with various mysteries of the Tao of Azura. He constantly comprehended and cultivated. The boundless dragon Qi made Yi Fei not have to worry about not having enough resources for cultivation. Very quickly, he comprehended many mysteries of the Tao of Azura. Gradually, a strange power began to form in his body. This power instantly shattered the inner yuan of the Devil Emperor's sutra in his body, forming a new power. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but when the power of Azura entered his dantian and gradually transformed the inner yuan in his body, the undying sword soul seemed to be a little agitated. However, before Yi Fei could sense this emotion, he was shocked to discover that the inner yuan of the Devil Emperor's sutra had been pushed out of his dantian and meridians by the power of Azura. However, it stubbornly attached itself to Yi Fei's flesh and every cell. It continued to exist and continuously strengthened Yi Fei's physical body. As expected of the Devil Emperor's sutra, even the battle god Tao is unable to completely dissolve its influence. Was this cultivation method really created by the Devil Emperor himself? Yi Fei suddenly became suspicious. He suspected that the Devil Emperor's chief master might have been bragging to him. After all, the battle god, Tao, was a cultivation method passed down by the martial god. Its level was countless times higher than the Devil Emperor's sutra. Even so, the power of Azura was still unable to completely repel the Devil Emperor's sutra. This was a little strange. Could it be that the Devil Emperor's sutra also contained the martial god's Tao? Yi Fei thought of a possibility. The Devil Emperor might have used the martial god's cultivation method as a reference when he created the Devil Emperor's sutra. After all, if he cultivated to the 5th layer of the Devil Emperor's sutra, he would be able to obtain a special constitution like the indestructible war demon body. The war demon body and the power of Azura. I wonder if I'll be able to obtain 2 powerful constitutions if I cultivate these 2 cultivation methods at the same time. Yi Fei was startled by his own thoughts. Then, his eyes involuntarily flashed with a dense light as he began to cultivate madly. Yi? Xiao Qiao, who was in a deep sleep, seemed to have smelled a very delicious aroma in her dreams. Thus, Xiao Xiao didn't hold back. Even though she was sleeping, she opened her mouth and took a deep breath. A few unconscious air dragons were attracted and actually turned into streams of light that continuously flowed into the beast mark space. Yi Fei clicked his tongue in wonder at the fact that he could cultivate while sleeping. However, Xiao Xiao's hard work still greatly stimulated Yi Fei. Therefore, Yi Fei cultivated even more madly. Boom! A day passed very quickly. Yi Fei, who was immersed in cultivation, suddenly felt a huge resistance force that forcefully pushed him out of the dragon aura space. Even so, Yi Fei was still smiling like a blooming flower. The dragon aura is indeed powerful. After bathing for a day, not only did I successfully cultivate the first level of the War God path, but I also successfully formed the Azura battle body and completely converted all the true Yuan in my body into the power of Azura. Yi Fei was excited. Then, he looked at his golden body. Not only was the power of Azura simple, his Devil Emperor scripture also had a breakthrough in cultivation, reaching the 5th level of the Devil Emperor scripture. However, Yi Fei did not break through to the level of the titled Wu Jun because of this. His cultivation level was still at the 10th level of the Martial King realm, the level of the Invincible Sage King. However, Yi Fei's battle strength, with the addition of the War Demon Immortal body and the power of Azura, directly broke through the 1 million mark. This also made Yi Fei's battle strength officially equal to Zhao Yu's. If he were to encounter Wu Jun, who was at the level of the King of Northern Plains, Yi Fei would be able to destroy him with one punch. Of course, while Yi Fei was improving, the other Sky Prides who had gained something from the 6 sacred sects were also improving rapidly, especially now in the northern region, where a storm was brewing and killing was everywhere. As the Blood Demon sect continued to expand, all the evil martial artists and murderous demons in the northern region gathered under the banner of the Blood Demon sect. They continued to expand and kill wantonly. In just 3 months, the Northern Sea, the Northern Ocean, the Northern Wilderness, the Northern Plains, 3 of the 4 great nations in the northern region had completely fallen. The skyscraper ridge where the Liu family was located was also destroyed, and the Lianyan castle where the Chun family was located was razed to the ground. The Chun family's patriarch could only risk his life and bring Chun Mingyao to join the alliance of the Beichuan nation, barely stopping the Blood Demon sect from expanding further. Chapter 675. The final battle. Yi Fei, who was immersed in cultivation, had no idea that during this period of cultivation, the entire northern region had changed. There was a storm of blood everywhere. Under the threat of the Blood Demon sect, no one could remain unscathed. Even the elders who had been living in seclusion for hundreds of years were forced to come out of seclusion. However, Yi Fei felt that it was about time to go back after spending 3 months in the desert. Fortunately, I have a combat power of 1,000,000 now, and I have the Phoenix Blood Sword. Even if Wu Jun is still unwilling to give up on me and wants to take my inheritance, I don't have to worry too much. Then, Yi Fei used his mind to retract the golden light all over his body and turn it into a strange power. It did not merge into his meridians and energy center, but directly into Yi Fei's flesh and blood. It reached a strange balance with the Azura power in his energy center. After walking out of the tomb and the cave, Yi Fei saw the old man standing quietly in the sandstorm like a statue. When Yi Fei came out, the old man's stiff face showed a kind smile. "Young Master Yi, it seems that you have bathed in the dragon chi and are planning to leave." "Yes, it's all thanks to you, Elder. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the chance to bathe in the dragon chi," Yi Fei said sincerely. Yi Fei was grateful and respectful to this old man who had spent his life guarding the tomb and the stone door. The old man also felt Yi Fei's sincerity, and his smile became even more benevolent. Originally, he was afraid that Yi Fei would burn the bridge after crossing the river and not help him find the spiritual eye after bathing in the dragon chi. Now, it seemed that he was overthinking. You are indeed the first invincible king sage in the North region in 10,000 years. Young man, work hard in your cultivation. You might be able to reach the same height as the great Emperor Wang Qing in the future. The old man encouraged. Yi Fei's face turned red. How could he be compared to the great Emperor Wang Qing? Senior, you're being too courteous. About the spiritual eye, give me some time. I'll find it as soon as possible so that you can continue to seal the monsters and protect our northern region. Yi Fei solemnly bowed to the old man and was about to leave. The old man was also very satisfied with Yi Fei's attitude. Seeing that Yi Fei was about to leave, he suddenly thought of something and hurriedly called out to Yi Fei. Young Master Yi, the old and decrepit seems to be unaware of the current situation in the northern region. The old and decrepit has some spies at Quicksand City, so I'll tell you the details now. The old man then told him everything that had happened in the northern region after Yi Fei had been trapped in the desert. What? The Blood Demon sect wants to unify the northern region and turn it into the most suitable place for demons to cultivate. The northern wilderness, the northern ocean, and the northern sea have all fallen. Song Yu of the northern wilderness state actually secretly sided with the Blood Demon sect and plotted against the northern wilderness state monarch. Other than the northern wilderness state and a few other areas, most of the northern region has now been occupied by the Blood Demon sect. The bad news came one after another. Yi Fei listened with trepidation. He couldn't believe that such a serious disaster had happened in the northern region while he was trapped in the desert. Even a northern ocean monarch has died in battle. Yi Fei muttered to himself, feeling a little gloomy. Although he didn't have much of a relationship with the northern ocean monarch, he was a wise man. However, this ruler could be considered a wise ruler. It was also because of his presence that the northern ocean and the northern sea were able to hold on bitterly when they were weak. It was also because of his open-mindedness that the northern ocean and the northern sea were able to merge and avoid war between the two sides. It was also because the northern ocean monarch continuously took care of the northern sea pass and family that Yi Fei was able to fight and gain experience in the heaven-forsaken land without any distractions. But now, such an elder no longer existed. He used the last of his blood to protect the northern ocean state and the northern sea. I didn't expect this. However, the monarch's blood will not flow in vain. Blood Demon sect, no matter how strong you are, I will never allow you to run amok in the northern region. The northern region was Yi Fei's hometown. Yi Fei would never allow the northern region to be destroyed for no reason. Blood Demon sect. Yi Fei roared and directly tore open the void, leaving the tomb of the great emperor. The old man also quietly watched Yi Fei's departing figure with a smile on his face. Then, he returned to his expressionless face and stood guard at the entrance of the sand cave, like a stone statue. 3 months' time was enough for the Blood Demon sect to recruit and form the strongest army in the entire northern region to march towards Beichuan country. Let's all work harder. As long as we destroy Beichuan country, our Blood Demon sect will be able to unify the northern region. When that time comes, we will be able to cultivate evil techniques as we wish. Whoever dares to obstruct us will have their entire family slaughtered. In order to boost morale, the Blood Demon sect monarch personally walked to the front. The demons who were stimulated also cheered wildly. That's great. The era of us demons' dominance has finally arrived. Kill our way into Beichuan country and kill them all. Long live the Blood Demon sect. Long live the Azura young master. Roar, roar, roar. The demons' angry roars were like exploding thunder that constantly exploded in the sky. They spread far and wide and even reached the border of Beichuan country. Almost all of Beichuan country's manpower was gathered at the border. Their army alone exceeded 5 million. Among them, Wu Jun, the martial king, was even more gloomy. However, even with so many experts present, no one dared to take the initiative to counterattack. The Blood Demon sect young master was simply too strong. In the past 3 months, none of the titled martial artists present, Wu Jun, was confident that they could be a match for the Azura young master. Sigh, If only the sage monarch of the northern region didn't die. Wu Jun sighed. After 3 months without any news of Yi Fei, Zhu Zhen, Jing Wushou, and the others began to waver. Basically, no one in the Alliance army believed that Yi Fei was still alive. Boom! Just as everyone was talking about Yi Fei, shaking their heads and sighing in disappointment, a pillar of light suddenly appeared in the direction of Beichuan Country's imperial palace. Martial artists below the martial king level didn't know what this pillar of light represented. However, those above the martial king level all looked in the direction of the imperial capital excitedly. The Beichuan monarch was so excited that his hands were trembling. He did it. He did it just like that. Who is it? Stepping into the 12th level of the martial saint realm at this time and emitting such a strong aura? Needless to say, it must be Fu Renjie. He's an invincible martial king, and his strength has already reached 300,000. He's second only to the sage monarch of the northern region. The one who broke through now must be Fu Renjie. As the strongest genius of the northern region, Fu Renjie's popularity was undeniable. The news was soon verified, because not long after he stepped into the 12th level of the martial saint realm, the space gate that led to the border of the imperial capital suddenly opened. Fu Renjie's body was enveloped in light as he strode out of the space gate. After 3 months of hard work, I, Fu Renjie, have finally stepped into the 12th level of the martial saint realm and become a titled martial artist, Wu Jun. Unfortunately, the person I wanted to defeat the most is no longer here. Fu Renjie's majestic gaze swept past Lin Tianjiao and Qin Mengyao. However, he didn't see Yi Fei. Fu Renjie let out a long sigh as a lonely expression appeared in his eyes. I chased after you with all my might. In the end, you couldn't wait for me to catch up to you. Sigh. Hearing that even Fu Renjie thought that Yi Fei was dead for sure, close to 100,000 young martial kings at the border all let out heavy sighs. Zhu Zhen and Jing Wushou's eyes also became gloomy. Qin Mengyao bit her red lips while Lin Tianjiao clenched his fists. Damn it, you only cared about chasing after Yi Fei. You obviously didn't see me as your opponent. Damn it. Lin Tianjiao left angrily. However, he soon returned helplessly. He had no choice but to continue to face the dazzling Fu Renjie. Because while Fu Renjie was here, the army of hundreds of thousands of demons formed by the Blood Demon sect had already arrived at the city. This made many people's faces change color. However, there were also some people who didn't care. For example, many young martial kings who supported Fu Renjie shouted angrily, "What are you afraid of? The northern region's sacred ruler is dead. We still have Fu Renjie and 16 titled martial artists. Wu Jun. Yeah, what are you afraid of? We still have Fu Renjie. Fu Renjie. Invincible Wu Jun, we support you." Knowing that this might be the final battle, countless young martial kings shouted angrily. Who said that men weren't hot-blooded? Now was the time to show them. Subsequently, the news of Fu Renjie's breakthrough to the titled Wu Jun spread like a hurricane throughout the entire border. It also reached the ears of the 5 million soldiers. The army's morale was immediately boosted. The army of Blood Demon sect that had already arrived at the city panicked when they heard the shouts from within the city. After all, Fu Renjie was the strongest sky pride of the northern region. Although he was temporarily suppressed by Yi Fei, the news of Yi Fei's death and Fu Renjie's breakthrough to the titled Wu Jun still affected the demon army that was preparing to enter the city. Chapter 676. To one side at this moment, it also showed the drawback of the Blood Demon Church's rapid expansion, which was that the people's hearts were not united. Other than the tens of thousands of people directly under the Blood Demon Church, the rest were just a bunch of miscellaneous soldiers. It was okay to let them fight a smooth battle, but when the situation was slightly unfavorable, this group of demons would become hesitant. The Blood Demon sect master kept urging them, but none of the demons dared to attack the city. He was so angry that he roared, "You bunch of good-for-nothings! If you don't attack the city, I'll kill all of you first." "Sect master, please calm down first. They don't dare to attack the city because they're afraid of Fu Renjia. Since that's the case, I'll go out and kill Fu Renjia first to eliminate everyone's fear. It'll also deal a blow to the morale of the Beichuan alliance. A blood-red figure walked out. So it's great, Commander Songyu. If you hadn't mentioned it, I would have almost forgotten about you. You're also one of the northern region's geniuses. If you can step forward and kill Fu Renjia, it'll naturally be a heavy blow to the alliance. Go now and kill Fu Renjia. The Blood Demon sect master coldly ordered. Understood. Songyu was in high spirits. He was in high spirits. Ever since he joined the Blood Demon sect, he had benefited greatly. Not only had he become one of the 12 demon gods of the Blood Demon sect, but he had also become the right-hand man of the Blood Demon sect master. However, Songyu was not satisfied with this. In his heart, he looked down on the old and weak Blood Demon sect leader. Now, it was a great opportunity for him, Songyu, to replace the Blood Demon sect leader. Thinking of this, Songyu subconsciously looked at the blood-colored figure in the sky. The other party also looked at Songyu with a meaningful gaze. Songyu was so happy that he wanted to jump up. As expected, young master thinks highly of me. As long as I kill Fu Renjia and establish my prestige, I will definitely be able to replace this old thing and become the new sect leader. My authority will definitely be greater than being the Northern Yuan country's crown prince. Songyu, it's Songyu, this traitor who defected to the demons. What is he doing here? Could it be that he wants to challenge Fu Renjia? On the city walls, countless martial artists were discussing. Many of them were even pointing at Songyu and cursing him. Songyu didn't look at these people. He walked straight into the sky and pointed at Fu Renjia with extreme disdain as he shouted, Fu Renjia, come out and fight. Today, I, Songyu, will block the faces of several million martial artists and trample you underfoot. Boom! At the border, the 5 million soldiers were all shocked. Lin Tianjiao and Chen Mengyao were also very surprised. Songyu actually dared to challenge Fu Renjia. Did this guy eat the wrong medicine? Songyu, since you want to fight, I'll fight you. Fu Ren didn't back down. He couldn't back down because behind him was the border and Beichuan nation. Fu Renjia, you have to win. Lin Tianjiao suddenly roared. It was hard to imagine that someone as proud as him would be cheering for someone else. But soon, everyone understood. This battle was not only a battle to determine the strongest genius of the northern region, but also a battle that would determine the fate of the northern region. If Fu Renjia won, it would definitely boost everyone's morale. Then, they would do their best to defend the city. But on the other hand, if Fu Renjia lost, the morale of the entire border garrison would definitely plummet. When everyone was filled with fear, they wouldn't be able to defend the city. Understanding this, not only Lin Tianjiao, Chen Mengyao, but also countless young martial kings all roared. Fu Renjia will win. Great Commander Song, you will win. The demons outside the city also roared. They even deliberately retreated enough space to allow Fu Renjia and Songyu to fight to their heart's content. In the sky, Fu Renjia and Songyu stood opposite each other. Songyu's face showed no hesitation. He pointed at the ground and said, as the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances. Fu Renjia, you're a talent. If you're willing to kneel before me now and announce that you have joined the Blood Demon sect, I, Songyu, can still spare your life. Fu Renjia was incomparably cold. He said in a low voice, we walk different paths. Let's fight. If you want me to kneel, there is only one way, and that is to wait for me to kill you. Yin-yang dual blades. Rumble. Ethereal force erupted. Fu Renjia made the first move. A white saber appeared in his left hand, and a black sword appeared in his right hand. One white and one black, one yin and one yang. It was like the flow of yin and yang, full of mystery and oppression. The sky creaked. It was also this move that made many of the older Wu Jun turn pale with fright. 500,000 combat power. This Fu Renjia has only just broken through to the titled Wu Jun, but he already has 500,000 combat power. A Wu Jun exclaimed. Songyu's expression also changed. 500,000 combat power? Fu Renjia, you are indeed strong. But the current me is no more than the me from 3 months ago. Deity King worships the moon. Rumble. Boundless moonlight burst out from Song Yu's body. He raised a bright moon with both hands and smashed it towards Fu Renjia with a cold expression. I, who have received the personal guidance of the young master, will only be stronger than you. Not only you, but also Lin Tianjiao, Chun Mingyao, all of you will be trampled under my feet. Rumble. The full moon tore through the void and shattered Fu Renjia's saber and sword. Fu Renjia's face was filled with shock, and then he let out a furious roar. The blazing black qi and white qi caused the world to be dyed black and white. But behind Song Yu, a blood moon appeared. It emitted a boundless blood-red light, preventing Fu Renjia's black and white qi from approaching. Fu Renjia, do you see this? This is my combat power. 600,000 combat power. Not only have I surpassed you, but I have also surpassed Yi Fei. From today onwards, I, Song Yu, am the strongest genius. Rumble. Song Yu's body was like a blood python. Suddenly, countless giant blood-red hands appeared behind his back. They were like venomous snakes, clawing at Fu Renjia and shaking off Fu Renjia's black and white auras. Wu Jun Stage 2. 600,000 combat power? It's only been 3 months. What kind of tricks did the Blood Demon sect use to allow Song Yu to improve so quickly? An older martial artist saw through Song Yu's strength, and his voice trembled as he spoke. Not good. Fu Renjia might be defeated. The Beichuan monarch looked at Fu Renjia, who was struggling under Song Yu's attacks. Shock flashed across his face, followed by determination. Even if I have to risk my life, I can't let anything happen to Fu Renjia. All Wu Jun, move out and save Fu Renjia. The Beichuan monarch could no longer care about the impact on the morale of his troops. He quickly led all the Wu Jun elites and rushed out. The Blood Demon sect's leader had been waiting for this moment. He let out a sinister laugh and called out to Wu Jun beside him. Beichuan monarch, don't even think about saving Fu Renjia. Fu Renjia is dead, and so are all of you. After killing all of you, the Blood Demon sect will rule the northern region. Long live the Blood Demon sect. Long live the young master. As Fu Renjia was suppressed, the morale of the Blood Demon sect's side increased greatly. However, at this critical juncture, countless soldiers looked on with worry as they watched the Wu Jun chaotic battle. Fu Renjia, prepare to die. From now on, I, Song Yu, am the strongest genius. No, I'm not the strongest. I'm the only genius in the northern region. Song Yu raised the huge blood moon in his hand and continuously smashed it down. Fu Renjia repeatedly roared. On his body, 2 streams of black and white qi transformed into a long rainbow, and then transformed into a black and a white sword, and desperately slashed toward Song Yu. But there was no other way. Song Yu was too powerful. The second-ranked titled Wu Jun, with a combat power of 600,000, had created an absolute suppression on Fu Renjia. Fu Renjia was forced to retreat again and again. During this process, Fu Renjia kept resisting and trying to fight back. However, everyone could see that the black and white light on Fu Renjia's body was gradually dimming. It was as if a dazzling sun was being blocked by Song Yu's blood moon. Boom! Heaven and earth trembled. Everyone subconsciously stopped what they were doing and looked at the place where Fu Renjia and Song Yu were fighting. They saw Song Yu holding the blood moon high. His face had a trace of arrogance and a trace of ridicule. Fu Renjia, you still lost, trampled by me. Song Yu, have I lost? Fu Renjia looked at the shattered yin and yang qi on his body. His face was filled with anger and humiliation. Chapter 677. Damn it. What? Song Yu isn't using his own strength? What's going on? Upon hearing Fu Renjia's words, many Wu Jun started observing Song Yu again. However, before they could see anything, Song Yu's expression turned ugly. You can actually see through my true strength. But so what? Even if I borrowed external strength, my combat strength is still mine. Of course, your life is also mine. Kill. Song Yu's expression turned ferocious. He didn't plan to give Fu Renjie any chance to live. Only by killing Fu Renjie could he step on Fu Renjie's corpse and become the strongest Sky Pride in the northern region. He might even be the only Sky Pride. Fight! Black and white flames burned on Fu Renjie's body once again. Facing the powerful Song Yu, he didn't retreat. Instead, he burned his blood essence and fought with Song Yu again. Fu Renjie is going all out. Song Yu actually forced him to this point. Lin Tianjiao clenched his fists and looked at the Wu Jun battle outside the city unwillingly. However, he and Qin Mingyao weren't Wu Jun. The two of them could only watch Fu Renjie's burning blood essence become weaker and weaker. Everyone knew that once the black and white flames on Fu Renjie's body extinguished again, Fu Renjie would die in battle. While the battle was going on outside the city, somewhere in the city, many low-level warriors who couldn't help were praying. They were either praying to the gods or to the idol of all the warriors in the northern region, the statue of the great Emperor Wang Qing. It was worth mentioning that Yi Fei's appearance had also been made into a statue by the family Yi. At this moment, a group of children from the family Yi were praying to this statue under the orders of their elders. However, compared to the gods and the statue of the great Emperor Wang Qing, the number of people praying to Yi Fei's statue was very small. Children of 7 or 8 years old were at the age of curiosity. When they saw that the statue they were praying to was so small, they felt very uncomfortable and asked their elders about it. Why are we praying? Is this statue also a god? Why is it that other than our family Yi, no one has come to worship it? The children were very curious. The elders of the family Yi looked very upset. They didn't know how to explain, but Yi Jian's dignified voice came from the crowd. Children, this man is not a god, nor is he an emperor, but he is the hope of our family Yi. He is the holy king who will lead our family Yi to glory. If you kneel down and kowtow to holy Uncle Wang, his spirit in heaven will definitely bless you. Yi Jian's tone suddenly became gloomy. Obviously, after 3 months of no news from Yi Fei, even though Yi Jian didn't say anything, he was beginning to feel hopeless. Uncle Yi Jian, we won't kneel. The children's tone was just as firm as Yi Jian's. Why won't you kneel? The sword was like a rainbow that crossed thousands of meters and instantly blocked in front of Fu Renjie, forming a sword vortex. Fu Renjie, I, Song Yu, will take your life. Song Yu was ecstatic. The blood-red moon in his hand emitted a terrifying light as it viciously smashed towards Fu Renjie's head. Fu Renjie's eyes widened as he stared in disbelief at the familiar, yet strange sword aura that had appeared in front of him. Song Yu had never expected that a sword light would fly over from afar in such a strange manner. Against that sword light, Song Yu realized that the speed at which his blood moon was descending had become extremely slow. In the end, when it got close to the sword light, it completely froze. This is impossible. What kind of sword aura is this? It can actually suppress my combat power of 600,000. Who are you? Tell me your name. In the end, Song Yu was actually forced back by the sword aura and couldn't continue to kill Fu Renjie. Song Yu's expression became very serious as he looked at the figure that had appeared beside Fu Renjie. Needless to say, it was Yi Fei. However, Yi Fei's clothes were ragged and he was in a hurry. His hair was messy and covered half of his face. Song Yu didn't recognize Yi Fei. Fu Renjie didn't recognize Yi Fei either. In the end, Yi Fei took the initiative to lift up his hair and smiled at Fu Renjie. Brother Fu, thank you for your hard work. Leave the rest to me. Yi Fei, you're Yi Fei. Fu Renjie stared at Yi Fei's face. He couldn't believe that Yi Fei was still alive. Yi Fei? How is that possible? Didn't you die in the desert? How did you make it back alive? Song Yu turned pale with fright. The gloating look on his face was replaced with fear. As for Wu Jun and the other title battle pet warriors who were still fighting, they all looked as if they had seen a ghost. They had thought that Yi Fei had probably been killed by some powerful titled battle pet warrior, Wu Jun, since they hadn't heard from him for 3 months. However, after 3 months, Yi Fei had made it back. Chapter 678. Explode with a punch boom. Yi Fei's appearance shocked all the titled martial artist Wu Jun. They all stopped fighting and retreated to their respective camps. Ha ha, good. Yi Fei, I knew that you wouldn't die so easily. Sacred Leader, Sword Maniac laughed loudly. If there was anyone who believed that Yi Fei wouldn't die, it would definitely be Sacred Leader Sword Maniac. Yi Fei, it's really Yi Fei. He's not dead. He's actually still alive. Lin Tianjiao and Chen Mengyao were both shocked. Then, they became excited. Song Yu was strong, but with Yi Fei and Fu Rinjia working together, there was still hope for the alliance. It's the Sacred King of the North. It's really the Sacred King of the North. Long live the Sacred King. Long live Fu Rinjia. The 5 million alliance army, which had been in low spirits a moment ago, became excited when Yi Fei appeared. Nearly 100,000 young martial kings cheered wildly. Yi Fei, it's really Yi Fei. He's not dead. He's still alive. Yi Jian and many people from the family Yi were so excited that tears streamed down their faces. The Blood Demon sect was in chaos when they saw Yi Fei. Yi Fei's reputation was too terrifying. First, he was the sword monarch of the North Sea. Now, he was the Sacred King of the North Sea. Such a reputation was earned by Yi Fei himself. If the demons were afraid of heroes, they were completely terrified of Yi Fei. Seeing that Yi Fei was still alive and had come out of the desert alive, the Sand King and Shun Tuming, who were hiding among the demons, were horrified. Of course, like the Blood Demon sect master, the 12 demon god commanders, when they saw Yi Fei, their eyes burned with anger. The grudge between Yi Fei and the Blood Demon sect ran too deep. Out of the 12 commanders, 3 of them had died because of Yi Fei. Not to mention, Yi Fei had also taken away the 2 most precious Saint Bodhi trees of the Blood Demon sect. Now that Yi Fei had finally appeared, the eyes of the Blood Demon sect leader and the others were especially red. All demon god commanders, heed my orders. Capture Yi Fei at all costs. Great Commander Song Yu, use your full strength as well. Tie down Yi Fei for me. Don't let him escape. The Blood Demon sect master roared. Kill, kill, kill. The eyes of the 12 demon god commanders immediately turned red, as though they had seen an irreconcilable enemy. All of them charged madly at Yi Fei. In their eyes, Yi Fei was a delicious cake. Whoever could capture Yi Fei first and retrieve the 2 Saint Bodhi trees would definitely leave the deepest impression in the young master's heart. No one would give up such an opportunity. Even the Blood Demon sect master went crazy, let alone Song Yu, who was closest to Yi Fei. After the initial shock, Song Yu's eyes immediately flickered with hatred and resentment. Yi Fei, it's all because of you that my father died in the desert. It's better that you're alive. Then I'll use your head as an offering to my father's spirit in heaven. Song Yu roared. This was also the reason why he had joined the Blood Demon sect. Because of the death of the king of Northern Plains, Song Yu had placed all his hatred on Yi Fei. Of course, Song Yu had forgotten that he and the king of Northern Plains were greedy for Yi Fei's inheritance. They had attacked Yi Fei first, wanting to kill Yi Fei. When Yi Fei heard Song Yu's words, he couldn't help but laugh coldly. It was clearly your greed that caused mischief. The king of Northern Plains almost killed me. I didn't settle the score with you, but you still have the face to come after me? Brother Yi, we must be careful. I don't know what kind of evil skill this Song Yu has learned. He actually raised his combat power to 600,000 and even broke through to the 2nd stage of Wu Jun. Fu Rinjia hurriedly reminded Yi Fei when he saw that Yi Fei was looking down on Song Yu. At the same time, a weak black and white aura once again appeared on Fu Rinjia's body. Since Yi Fei had saved him, Fu Rinjia naturally wouldn't let Yi Fei face the enemy alone. Instead, he planned to fight alongside Yi Fei. Yi Fei knew that Fu Rinjia meant well, but when he sensed Fu Rinjia's weak aura, Yi Fei still stretched out his hand to stop Fu Renjie. It's just a few clowns. I could take care of them alone. Brother Fu, heal your wounds first. I'll talk to you later. Yi Fei, what are you saying? How dare you look down on me? Song Yu. If that's the case, then die. Song Yu's face was cold. He was practically burning with rage. Moreover, he was now the same as he was 3 months ago. Song Yu was confident that even if he couldn't defeat Yi Fei, he could still remain undefeated in front of Yi Fei. Kill. God worships the moon. Song Yu's hair was blood red. The blood moon in his hand suddenly became even bigger than when he was fighting Fu Renjie. Fu Renjie realized that Song Yu hadn't used his full strength yet. Yi Fei, watch out. Holy Lord Sword Maniac and the others sensed the terror of Song Yu's attack. When they saw the 12 demon gods of the Blood Demon sect rushing toward Yi Fei, they were shocked. They immediately threw caution to the wind and rushed forward to protect Renjie and Yi Fei. When the other titled battle pet warriors of the Blood Demon sect, Wu Jun, saw this, they looked at each other and rushed forward to stop Elder Sword Maniac and the others. Just as the curtains of an unprecedented battle royale in Wu Jun's history was about to begin, Yi Fei finally moved. He didn't care about the others. He just stared at Song Yu and said coldly, I'd like to see how you're going to kill me. Take my fist. With a loud bang, Yi Fei rushed toward Song Yu. At the same time, he swung his right fist. The power of Azura in his body boiled like lava. Wherever Yi Fei's fist passed, the air was scraped by a huge flame. Yi Fei's fist was like a whistling meteor, falling from the starry sky and colliding with Song Yu's blood moon. The blood moon was instantly torn apart, smashed into countless streams of blood-colored light. How is this possible? Song Yu's eyes were filled with shock. He had 600,000 combat power and activated the Blood Demon's secret skill. Yet, he still couldn't block Yi Fei's seemingly ordinary punch. Nothing is impossible in this world. Yi Fei roared. He shattered the blood moon with one punch. His left fist, which had been ready for a long time, smashed towards Song Yu like a meteor. Feeling the terrifying power contained in Yi Fei's fist, Song Yu's body trembled. His face was full of humiliation. The blood in Song Yu's body erupted like a fountain, dyeing his body red. Then, it quickly condensed into a strange blood pool in an attempt to protect him. At the same time, the 12 demon god commanders also roared at the same time. As they roared, hundreds of terrifying blood hands extended from behind each of them. They were like blood pythons baring their fangs as they frantically tried to entangle Yi Fei. However, Yi Fei's action was still the same. He coldly punched out with his left fist. The void was instantly smashed apart by Yi Fei's fist. The bloody hands that were trying to entangle him all exploded into pieces. With an unstoppable force, Yi Fei's fist landed on the blood pool that Song Yu had turned into. An earth-shattering sound was heard. The blood pool that Song Yu used to protect himself was smashed into pieces. Blood dyed the sky red, revealing Song Yu's shocked figure. Then, his face was filled with hatred and fear. Bam! Song Yu's body suddenly exploded. Yi Fei's punch had actually caused his body to explode. Until the moment of his death, Song Yu's eyes still retained a deep sense of fear and regret. Chapter 679. No one can resist. This punch was too powerful and too terrifying. Even Yi Fei himself did not expect his strength to be so terrifying when combined with the power of Azura. One punch was enough to destroy Song Yu, who had a combat power of 600,000. This scene also scared the Blood Demon sect master and the 12 demon gods who were already charging over. It must be known that Song Yu was a rising star of their Blood Demon sect. His battle prowess was extremely strong. The Blood Demon sect master even planned to groom Song Yu as the next sect master. But in the end, even Song Yu could not withstand a single punch from Yi Fei and was blown apart. Just how terrifying was Yi Fei's battle prowess now? Boom! The Blood Demon sect's army, which was originally a motley crew, suddenly became chaotic due to Song Yu's death. Many of the demons retreated in fear, afraid that they would attract Yi Fei's attention. In the crowd, Sha Wang, and Shindaming were so scared that their faces turned pale. They kept their heads down, afraid that Yi Fei would discover them. Good lad. This Yi Fei is truly something. It seems we were worried for nothing. The Beichuan king suddenly laughed out loud. Ever since the Blood Demon sect had wreaked havoc, the entire alliance had been suppressed by the Blood Demon sect. They had no way of retaliating. Finally, Yi Fei had appeared. They had waited for the perfect moment to strike back. Lin Tianjiao, Zhu Zhen, what are you waiting for? Now that Yi Fei has returned, he seems to be even stronger than before. Now is the best time for us to counterattack. While Yi Fei and Song Yu were fighting, Fu Rinjie had already returned to the city walls. Not only did he have martial strength, he also had the ability to command. As soon as Fu Rinjie noticed that the morale of the Blood Demon sect's army was starting to plummet, he immediately shouted a warning to the spectating generals. It was also at this time that Lin Tianjiao and the others recovered from the shock of seeing Yi Fei destroy Song Yu with a single punch. As geniuses, Lin Tianjiao and Chun Mingyao suddenly felt immense pressure. Inspired by Yi Fei, the entire alliance army erupted with an amazing fighting spirit. Zhu Zhen, Qin Bing, and the others were all smiling. Zhu Zhen sighed and said, "Father, you have a good eye to befriend Yi Fei and the Taishan Holy Land. Now, there's hope for our Beiyang kingdom to recover. Soldiers, charge with me." Jing Wushou and the others were even more direct. When they saw that the Blood Demon sect's army was in chaos, they immediately opened the city gates. The 5 million alliance soldiers were like 5 million ferocious wolves. They roared and charged forward, causing the Blood Demon sect's army to become even more chaotic. They didn't have the advantage in numbers, and they were filled with fear of Yi Fei. When they saw the army charging out, the demons who had joined the Blood Demon sect at the last minute all scattered. They started running for their lives even before the battle started. Among them, the Sand King and Shun Tuming were the fastest to run. The bandits secretly regretted that they weren't in a desert. Otherwise, they could have just burrowed into the quicksand and run for their lives. PFF. Seeing this, the master of the Blood Demon sect was so angry that he spat out his precious blood into the sky. He shouted, "No one is allowed to run. We still have the young master. When the young master wakes up from his cultivation, we can turn defeat into victory. Kill him. Kill him. We still have a chance to turn defeat into victory." One had to admit that the master of the Blood Demon sect was a good commander. Thanks to his encouragement, the chaotic Blood Demon sect army soon calmed down. The titled martial lords who joined the Blood Demon Church also knew that at that moment, they had no path of retreat. If they were defeated, they would die and their reputations would be shattered. They could only grit their teeth and charge at Yi Fei with all their might. Sectmaster is right. If we kill Yi Fei, we still have a chance to win. How about we stall for time until the young master wakes up from his cultivation? Kill him. I don't believe that we can't kill him with so many Wu Juns working together. He has the legacy of the Sage sect. As long as he's dead, the legacy will be ours. The remaining 10 demon god commanders all looked greedy. They couldn't wait to kill Yi Fei right then and there, so that they could take Yi Fei's legacy. Yi Fei smiled coldly. The Blood Demon sect is heartless. Today, I will seek justice on behalf of the martial kings you've killed. Kill him. Power of Azura, Heaven Destroyer. Boom! The sword light shook the sky. The Sky Destroyer style, which was stimulated by the power of Azura, was undoubtedly more terrifying than the ordinary true elemental energy. Sword Yefei's sword light destroyed a small part of the world in front of it, completely turning it into a zone of nothingness. In the nothingness, the 10 demon gods were all destroyed. They were destroyed by Yi Fei's sword. The Wu Jun experts fighting in the sky were all shocked. Fu Rinjie, Lin Tianjiao, and Chun Mingyao all stared with their eyes wide open. What had they just seen? Yi Fei had destroyed Song Yu with a single punch. It was already extremely terrifying. Now, Yi Fei had killed 10 demon god commanders of the Blood Demon sect with a single sword. Other than the Blood Demon sect master, Yi Fei's sword had killed all the core higher-ups of the Blood Demon sect. Seeing the dead demon god commanders, the blood demon sect master was so angry that he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Then, he felt dizzy and almost died on the spot. Kill! Kill him for me! Kill this damned, evil creature! In the sky, the furious roar of the blood demon sect master resounded. He didn't retreat. Instead, he charged at Yi Fei with a crazed look in his eyes. Boundless blood hands filled the sky and grabbed at Yi Fei. They couldn't wait to tear Yi Fei into pieces. At the same time, the Blood Demon Church's church head's battle power was also extremely astonishing. He had actually used the same secret technique as Song Yu and suddenly raised his cultivation from the 4th level of the Martial Lord realm to the terrifying level of the 5th level of the Martial Lord realm. In other words, the combat power of the Blood Demon Church's Churchmaster had already reached the terrifying level of 1 million. When the army of the Blood Demon Church saw the Churchmaster personally taking action, they were all shocked. They all looked towards the sky fervently, hoping to see the scene of the Churchmaster unleashing his invincible might. Oh no, a combat strength of 1 million. This old demon is too scary. Yi Fei, come back quickly. Sensing the terror of the Blood Demon Sect Master, the titled battle pet warriors of the Alliance, Wu Jun, all panicked. Even the sword maniac Holy Lord's face turned pale. To them, no matter how strong Yi Fei was, he couldn't possibly be a match for the 1 million combat strength of the Blood Demon Sect Master. It was more important for them to preserve their combat strength. The Wu Jun of the Alliance turned around and returned to the city. They planned to gather their forces for defense. However, they were only halfway there when they suddenly realized that Yi Fei didn't retreat with them. In the sky, an even more dazzling golden light appeared. Yi Fei's face was cold. He finally took out his Phoenix Blood Sword and pointed it at the Blood Demon Sect Master. He said disdainfully, "A combat strength of 1 million? Who are you trying to scare? Let me show you what a real combat strength of 1 million looks like. Kill. Sky-burning form. Sky-burning sword fire. Boom." The empty sky suddenly turned red. A huge flaming sword light tore through the sky and slashed at the crazy Blood Demon Sect Master. The Blood Demon Sect Master was horrified to find that even though he had activated a secret technique and raised his cultivation to the 5th rank of Wu Jun, he still wasn't a match for Yi Fei's sword. The bloody hands that filled the sky were all burned to ashes. Then, under the horrified gaze of the Blood Demon Sect Master, his body was also unable to withstand Yi Fei's sword. His body was cut into 2 and burned to ashes. The moment the Blood Demon Sect Master died, a blood-red figure rushed over from the distant sky at lightning speed. Chapter 680. Brothers Become Enemies. Boom. As the young man in the blood-red robes appeared, the sea of flames was quickly engulfed by the boundless blood-red clouds. The young man in the blood-red robes was none other than the Azura young master. His face was filled with rage. He hadn't seen Yi Fei at the border and had only seen Fu Renjie. Disappointed, the young master of the Azura sect wasn't interested in watching the battle between Song Yu and Fu Renjie. Instead, he made the best use of his time to cultivate his martial arts. It was obvious that the young master of the Azura sect was a very hard-working person. However, he seemed to be a little too hard-working this time. Who would have thought that in the short time that the young master of the Azura sect was immersed in his cultivation? Not only did Yi Fei come back from the dead, but he also rushed to the battlefield. Not only did he kill Song Yu, but he also killed the leaders of the 12 demon gods, including the leader of the Blood Demon sect. This was definitely the first defeat the Blood Demon sect had suffered since they swept through the northern region. It was also the most serious defeat. Because of his carelessness, the core experts of the Blood Demon sect were all killed by Yi Fei. How could the young master of the Azura sect not be angry? Luo Shi. How could it be Luo Shi? At this time, Yi Fei also saw the young master of the Azura sect clearly. He was actually Luo Shi. However, Luo Shi had already lost all human emotions. His eyes were blood red and his face was ferocious. Even his spirit eagle had turned into a blood eagle. It stood on his shoulder and screeched fiercely at Yifei. Screech! Without any warning, the blood eagle attacked. It carried the young master of the Azura sect's wrath as it swooped down. The sky turned dark. The blood eagle soared in the sky. Its sharp claws quickly became incomparably huge. It was as if it could even uproot a mountain range. Bam! Yifei was still in deep shock. He was unprepared and was hit by the spirit eagle's attack on the spot. Fortunately, the demonic Emperor Sutra's true yuan had already completely merged with Yifei's flesh and cells. The Devil Emperor's sutra automatically started to circulate after receiving the attack. Raging golden flames suddenly burned on Yifei's body, successfully blocking the Blood Eagle's fatal attack. Luo Shi, what's going on? Why is the Azura young master Luo Shi? The pain in his body jolted Yifei out of his shock, but he still couldn't believe that his brother was the young master of the Blood Demon sect and had become his greatest enemy. Yifei, you must be careful. He is no longer Luo Shi. He is young master Azura. He has already taken over Luo Shi's body. The real Luo Shi is probably already dead. Suddenly, the loud sound of Sword Maniac Elder's sword rang out from afar. This sword sound immediately pulled Yifei back from his confusion. However, Yifei's expression soon turned pained. He looked at Sword Maniac Elder and then at young Master Shura. There was shock and sorrow on his face. Luo Shi is really dead? His body was even used by the Blood Demon sect. But why Luo Shi? Boom! An intense killing intent rose from Yifei's body. His eyes were bloodshot as he stared coldly at the young master of the Shura clan. What's the matter? You can come at me. Why do you have to hurt my brother? This is how Blood Azura does things. Yifei, since you provoked Blood Azura, we want you to die in the most painful way possible. What do you think? My idea isn't bad, right? There's nothing more painful than being betrayed by your own brother. Young Master Azura laughed heartily. Suddenly, the blood eagle in the sky swooped down at Yifei. Yifei hesitated for a moment. He still didn't use his killer move. Instead, he pushed his battle demon golden body to the limit and blocked the blood eagle's attack. Die! Young Master Azura had been waiting for this opportunity. When he saw that Yifei was only defending himself, a sinister smile flashed across his face. His blood-red palm viciously struck at Yifei's body. Poof! Yifei immediately felt a sharp pain shoot through his body. A single person's defense might be able to deal with an ordinary martialist, but against an opponent like young Lord Azura, it was simply impossible. His battle demon golden body collapsed instantly. A bloody palm print appeared on Yifei's chest. Just a little bit more, and Yifei's entire chest would have been crushed by young Master Azura's palm. Seeing this scene, many people in the Alliance were shocked. That's strange. Why is the Northern Region Holy Ruler being beaten so passively? Yifei, you're confused. Luo Shi is already dead. The one standing in front of you now isn't Luo Shi, but Blood Azura. Many Wujun experts from the Alliance looked at Yifei with disappointment. A few Wujun experts were about to rush over to help. You're wrong about that. Luo Shi isn't dead yet. His soul is still in this body. I'm just temporarily suppressing it. Yifei, if you don't want anything to happen to your brother, you'd better stay put and let me kill you. Young Master Azura laughed viciously. Following young Master Azura's appearance and his forceful suppression of Yifei, the chaotic Blood Demon sect army finally stabilized. They regrouped and started to strut around again. Young Master, you can do it. The Blood Demon sect will win. The Wujun experts from the Alliance also transmitted their voices to Yifei. Yifei, don't believe this demon's words. Luo, she's already dead. Only by killing this demon can you avenge your brother. Yifei ignored the Blood Demon army's clamor and didn't reply to the Alliance's martial monarch. He wiped off the blood at the corner of his mouth and walked step by step toward the sky again. He walked toward his former brother, the current Azura young master. Are you telling the truth? Luo Shi isn't dead? You only took over his body and didn't kill him? Yifei looked at young Master Azura coldly. Take a guess. With an evil smile on his face, young Master Azura suddenly turned into a beam of blood-red light and charged toward Yi Fei without the slightest scruple. In his opinion, Yi Fei only knew how to defend. Wouldn't he be able to kill him however he wanted? However, young Master Azura had clearly made the wrong decision this time. Yi Fei hadn't made a move before because he wasn't sure if Luo she was still alive. Now that he knew that Luo she might still be alive, Yi Fei naturally wouldn't be passive and take a beating. Get out of my brother's body. A blazing golden light appeared on Yi Fei's body. It was as if Yi Fei was wearing a golden armor. After entering the 5th level of the Demon Emperor Sutra, Yi Fei already had a special body constitution, the indestructible demon body. His defense was extremely strong. At the same time, the power of Azura in his body increased Yi Fei's strength immensely. Therefore, even a simple punch made Yi Fei's attack extremely terrifying. Bam! Yi Fei's golden fist collided with young Master Azura's bloody palm. Yi Fei was as immovable as a mountain. His astonishing strength seemed to be able to crush a mountain range as he ruthlessly smashed into young Master Azura's body. How is this possible? How can you have the power of Azura? Young Master Azura was extremely shocked. The ancestor of Blood Azura was once an invincible Azura war god. Young Master Azura was naturally very surprised that Yi Fei had the power of Azura in his body. If you want to know, leave my brother's body and I'll tell you. Boom. Chapter 681. Mad Devil, damn it. Yi Fei, how dare you blaspheme the power of the Azura? The young master of the Azura clan was suddenly enraged, but deep in his eyes, there was a flash of deep shock. In the end, a true Azura was a supreme god of war. Although the Blood Azura was also an Azura, the Azura power in their bloodline was very thin and almost impossible to increase. But Yi Fei was different. He was just a mortal. He wasn't even a Blood Azura. Yet he had the power of an Azura. How could the young master not be shocked? However, shock aside, young Lord Shura was still a super genius with a combat power of 1,000,000. If it weren't for Yi Fei, he would be the strongest in the North region. Even the Blood Demon Sect Master would not be a match for him. This was because, just like Song Yu, the Blood Demon Sect Master had secretly borrowed a strand of Azura's bloodline power to temporarily increase his strength. This was also why Fu Renji said that Song Yu did not possess his own power. This was also the reason why the Sect Master of the Blood Demon Sect, who had a combat power of 1,000,000, could not even block a single strike from Yi Fei. The reason for that was because that power did not belong to them. They were unable to completely control it. Only Blood Azura, who was also of the Azura bloodline, could fully unleash this power. Yi Fei, if you don't want anything to happen to your brother, then don't resist. Young Master Azura's blood surged like rivers of blood. His bloody palms formed a bloody waterfall. They were so powerful that the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch and Beichuan Heavenly Monarch broke out in cold sweat. They had to admit that young Lord Azura was powerful. However, even in the face of such a terrifying attack, Yi Fei remained as still as a mountain. He continued to swing his fists, colliding with the young master's bloody hands countless times. The two of them quickly fought from the sky to the ground, and then from the ground to the sky. Bloodlight 10 kills. Young Lord Azura suddenly roared. His fist suddenly became as dazzling as the sun. Wherever it passed, the void shattered like glass. War Demon Golden Body. Yi Fei used defense as offense. His entire being was like an ancient war demon. He walked in the sky with his fists raised, shattering the space with every step he took. Then, with an unparalleled might, Yi Fei rushed to the young lord's side and stomped on the blood pool he had condensed, shattering it into pieces. Young Master Azura didn't dare to show weakness. He wasn't discouraged by the shattering of the blood pool. Instead, a sinister smile flashed across his face. Roar! The shattered blood pool suddenly transformed into 5 blood pythons. They opened their huge mouths and attempted to swallow Yi Fei. However, Yi Fei had already seen the strangeness of these blood pythons. He wasn't in a hurry. He opened his arms and pounced forward like a tiger. With a series of ripping sounds, he tore the blood pythons that were close to him into pieces like noodles. If there's a chance, blood burst. Bang! However, the blood of the torn blood pythons suddenly exploded and turned into boiling lava. The lava splashed onto Yi Fei's body. It was so hot that Yi Fei's war demon golden body showed signs of collapsing. Yi Fei suddenly became angry. He didn't say anything. Like a mad war demon, he suddenly lifted his leg and swept it out like an axe. Ah! The young master of the surest sect suddenly screamed. Although he was unwilling, he was still no match for Yi Fei in terms of pure physical strength. He didn't retreat, and a treacherous look flashed across his face. His gloomy and cold voice suddenly became Luo Shi's anxious voice. "Brother Fei, don't kill me. It's Luo Shi?" Hearing this voice, Yi Fei panicked. He suddenly didn't know if he should continue attacking. Hee, Yi Fei, this is your weakness. Young Lord Azura laughed sinisterly. Taking advantage of Yi Fei's distraction, he suddenly pressed a bloody hand on Yi Fei's chest. Yi Fei felt a sharp pain in his chest. His war demon golden body instantly shattered. Before he could retreat, young Lord Azura, who saw the opportunity, laughed sinisterly. He didn't give Yi Fei any chance to defend himself. Blood ray cleave. The sky turned into a sea of blood. In the sea of blood, a terrifying blood-red ray of light mercilessly slashed at Yi Fei's body. Yi Fei's eyes couldn't help but turn gloomy. "Brother, it's all my fault." He roared at the sky. Suddenly, a resplendent sword light appeared all over his body. He was about to use his strongest attack. At this moment, the blood eagle, which had been circling in the sky for a long time, suddenly had a flash of light in its eyes. "Brother Fei, attack!" The blood eagle suddenly shouted. Then it swooped down. However, it didn't attack Yi Fei. Instead, it suddenly attacked young Lord Azura. "Luo Shi, how dare you? I'm already being merciful by not killing you. How dare you secretly resist? Be destroyed!" Screech! The blood eagle let out a mournful cry. Suddenly, it was slashed by the blood-red ray, turning into a mass of chaotic air that dissipated between heaven and earth. "Luo Shi, you actually killed Luo Shi. I want your life. I want revenge for my brother." Ah! Yi Fei went berserk. He remembered that Luo Shi had said that he and the spiritual eagle were one. If the spiritual eagle lived, Luo Shi lived. If the spiritual eagle died, Luo Shi would die. Now that the spiritual eagle was destroyed, Yi Fei was naturally sad and even more furious. Kill! With tears of blood, Yi Fei finally pulled out the phoenix blood sword. The sword light was resplendent. Suddenly, a sorrowful sword intent appeared between heaven and earth. Then it began to burn like a raging fire. This is the sorrowful sword intent, the furious sword intent. This Yi Fei can actually comprehend the illuminated sword heart to such a level. Seeing the two sword lights, Sword Maniac Elder was extremely shocked. Here, no one understood the sword better than him. Therefore, he was titled the Sword Sage. But at this moment, Sword Maniac Elder suddenly realized that Yi Fei was more suitable for the title of Sword Sage than him. Humans have 7 emotions and 6 desires. Swords also have 7 emotions and 6 desires. Whoever can grasp it will be able to transform sword intent into sword force and enter a new realm of the way of the sword. Sword Maniac Elder sighed. He never expected that Luo Shi's death would have such a huge impact on Yi Fei. It actually allowed Yi Fei to touch the threshold of sword force in his grief and anger. And this threshold was something that even Sword Maniac Elder, who had been obsessed with the way of the sword for hundreds of years, could not fully comprehend. "Brother, rest in peace. Let me use the sword in my hand to send you on your last journey." Yi Fei was furious. Yi Fei roared. Luo Shi's death agitated Yi Fei so much that he nearly lost his mind. He could not tolerate such a thing. He also could not forgive young Lord Azura's cruel actions. Kill you? No, killing you is too easy. I want to destroy your body and soul as a sacrifice to my brother's soul in heaven. Be destroyed. Poof! Yifei's body was covered in blood. He allowed young Lord Azura's bloody hands to tear his body apart, revealing deep white bones and internal organs. However, Yifei, who was in a frenzy, did not seem to feel any pain. He also did not feel that his life was slipping away. He had already entered a wonderful state of the Azura combat body, the berserk demon state. In this state, Yifei could not feel death or danger. The only thought left in his mind was to kill his enemy. Azura would not die until his blood ran dry. His anger would not be quenched until he beheaded his enemy. Yifei's eyes were like raging flames. His body was like a raging inferno. He raised the phoenix blood sword in his hand and slashed forward with all his might. This scene frightened young Lord Azura so much that he broke out in a cold sweat. For the first time, fear appeared in his eyes. He kept retreating, using all his skills to block Yifei's sword light. He kept cursing, "Berserk demon. Damn it, he is just a mortal. How can he enter the berserk demon state that even high-level blood Azuras like us can't enter? This is bad. If I let him continue to go crazy, not only will I not be able to kill him, but I will also help him comprehend the power of Azura." When he thought of this, young Lord Azura was so angry that 2 streams of fire came out his nostrils. "Yifei, stop. If you hurt me, you will hurt Luo Shi. Luo Shi is not dead. His life is still in my hands." Chapter 682. Armistice. However, Yifei, who had descended into madness, didn't stop. He only had eyes for his enemy. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Kill. Grief and anger caused the Azura energy in Yifei's body to become incomparably terrifying. He punched out. The light around his fist was like a blazing flame that wanted to incinerate everything, destroy everything. Lunatic, this lunatic. He really doesn't want to live anymore. He actually wants to fight me to the death. The young master kept retreating. Seeing that his threat was no longer effective, a terrifying blood-red light appeared on his body once again as he slashed at Yifei. Blood-red light, 10 slashes. Power of Shura. Yifei roared as he felt the young master's threat. The golden flame on his fist suddenly reached its limit and merged perfectly with the power of Shura. The battle demon body and the power of Shura. Not only do they not resist each other, but they can also merge perfectly. Doesn't this mean that I can cultivate the indestructible battle demon body and the Shura battle body at the same time and create a new body constitution? In his madness, Yifei's eyes suddenly flashed with understanding. Then his eyes turned cold as his golden fist smashed the 10 blood-red lights in front of him into pieces. Wah! The young master also suffered some damage when the blood-red lights were destroyed. His face was filled with anger and malevolence. Damn it, I didn't expect the inheritance of the 6 sacred sects to be so powerful. Not only did it give him the power of Shura, but it also allowed him to enter the state of madness. The state of madness was the forbidden domain. However, the forbidden domain was something that ancient geniuses were born with. The battle god path allowed this innate ability to be cultivated and strengthened. After seeing how terrifying Yifei's state of madness was, the young master decisively gave up on the idea of continuing to fight with Yifei. He took advantage of his injuries and successfully retreated a few hundred meters. Then, his blood-red eyes suddenly turned black. The young master said one last time, "Luo Shi, if you don't want to die, let Yifei remove his state of madness." "I'm not dead. I'm not dead. That's right. This demon is using me to threaten Brother Fei." Luo Shi's eyes flashed with confusion. However, he quickly regained his senses. Luo Shi looked at the crazed Yifei, and his eyes flashed with determination. He did not stop Yifei as the Shura young master had requested. Instead, he roared, "Brother Fei, kill me. Hurry up and kill me. It's Luo Shi. It's the real Luo Shi. How could this be? Didn't you say that once the spirit eagle died, you would also die? Yi Fei was very familiar with Luo Shi's aura. He was unable to continue attacking, because this was the real Luo Shi and also his brother. Brother, it's all my fault. The madness in Yi Fei's eyes vanished. He looked at Luo Shi, his eyes filled with self-blame. It's fine. Wang Bai once said that we're all brothers, so there's no need to be so calculative. On the other hand, I'm too weak, and I'm a burden to Brother Fei. However, to be able to be Brother Fei's brother for so long, even if I, Luo Shi, die, it's worth it. Brother Fei, I'm leaving. Luo Shi suddenly roared. When he saw that Yi Fei could not bear to kill him, Luo Shi suddenly raised his right hand and was about to smash his own head. Luo Shi. Yi Fei's eyes turned red. He couldn't let Luo Shi die just like that. However, before Yi Fei could rush forward, Luo Shi's hand, which was about to land, suddenly stiffened. His black eyes turned blood red once again. You want to kill yourself? Luo Shi, this body already belongs to me. If I don't let you kill yourself, don't even think about dying. However, thanks to you, Yi Fei has finally broken out of his crazed, demonic state. The Shura young master's face was sinister as he took control of Luo Shi's body once again. Yi Fei glared coldly at the Shura young master. His fury and murderous intent formed an invisible storm that howled around him. Let Luo Shi go, and I'll let you do whatever you want with me. Yi Fei stated his condition. If possible, he would rather trade his own life for Luo Shi's. Of course I will let Luo Shi go, but only after he watches you die. The Shura young master's face was gloomy and cold. He didn't continue the fight with Yi Fei. He stepped back again. Soon, he was among the troops of the Blood Demon sect. Yi Fei, today I am not well prepared. Let's call a truce. In a month, we will have a one-on-one fight at the border. Then, we will fight to the death. Let's go. The Shura young master waved his hand. The millions of demons retreated slowly from the border. The remaining titled battle pet warriors Wu Jun followed them. After all, they had joined the Blood Demon sect and were going against the entire northern region. They had no other choice but to follow the Shura young master to the end. Where do you think you're going? Yi Fei, go after them. Kill the Shura young master and the demons. That will be our final victory. The Lord of the Northern Wilderness and the Lord of Beichuan were excited. Victory was right in front of them. They could not let the Blood Demon sect retreat so easily. They were about to order their troops to attack. All of a sudden, the Shura young master turned around with a sinister grin. Yi Fei, you better let my troops leave safely. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee your brother's life. Whoosh! The Shura young master threw a ball of white light into Yi Fei's hand. Yi Fei took a closer look and saw that it was an egg. Yi Fei immediately recognized that the spirit egg belonged to Luo Shi's spirit eagle. It turned out that young Lord Azura had only shattered the spirit eagle's body, but not its soul. What was sleeping in this spirit egg was the spirit eagle's soul. This also proved that Luo Shi was indeed still alive. Yi Fei held the egg. A cold glint flashed in his eyes, but he still waved his hand to stop them. Everyone stop. Let them leave. Yi Fei, I knew that you would agree. This is your weakness. It is also the common weakness of all humans. It is also destined that you will never become a true Shura. We Shuras are emotionless. Brothers are like dogs and women are like clothes. As long as we can succeed, we can abandon our parents, wives, and children. What's more, a few brothers who are worse than dogs. The Shura young master's cold and smug voice came from the Blood Demon sect's retreating army. The demon's unbridled laughter could also be heard. Yi Fei did not say anything when he heard these voices. He only clenched his fists tightly. Fresh blood flowed out from between his fingers. Due to Yi Fei's obstruction, the Alliance's army did not dare to act rashly or chase after them. All the young martial kings were also looking at Yi Fei with admiration and regret. The Beichuan monarch and the Beiwang monarch even rushed over to complain to Yi Fei. Yi Fei, are you stupid? The blood demon sect was not prepared and did not expect you to appear. This is the best opportunity for you to kill the Shura young master and restore peace to the northern region. You actually stopped just because of one person's life? Yi Fei turned around coldly in the face of the two monarchs' accusations. He said in a low voice, "Even if it's just one person, he is still my brother. Compared to the northern region, my brother's life is more important." Whoosh. Chapter 683. Get ready. The 5 million soldiers at the border watched in silence as Yi Fei entered the city. The two monarchs looked at Yi Fei, who had ignored them and left. How arrogant. This Saint King of the North is indeed powerful, but he's too soft-hearted. He won't achieve anything great. The Northern Wilderness Monarch was unhappy. If it weren't for Yi Fei's decision to stop, they would have severely damaged the Blood Demon sect. Sigh. In the end, he's still too young and too emotional. Sacrificing one person or saving the world. He doesn't even know which is more important. In the end, he's not a fierce and ambitious person. This Yi Fei is too narrow-minded and doesn't have the boldness that a Saint King should have. The Northern Wilderness Monarch was also unhappy. Coincidentally, Sword Maniac Elder happened to pass by. When he heard their conversation, he shook his head coldly and warned the two monarchs. You two better be more polite when you speak. Yi Fei did not do anything wrong. Even if he did, it is not up to you two to criticize him. How dare you, Sword Maniac? When we were the chosen ones, you weren't even a battle king. How dare you warn us? The Northern Wilderness Monarch was displeased. The Northern Wilderness Monarch pulled him back and winked at him. The Northern Wilderness Monarch immediately shut up. He was upset, but there was nothing he could do about Sword Maniac Elder and the Taishan Sacred Ground. Sword Maniac Elder was Wu Jun, but his swordsmanship was horrifying. He had shown his brilliance many times in the 3 months of battles. Sword Maniac Elder's heaven-sealing sword could weaken the enemy's attack by 70%. Many 3rd or 4th rank titled battle pet warriors found it difficult to deal with him. Besides, Yi Fei was also from the Taishan Sacred Ground. Therefore, the two monarchs stopped talking at the same time. Sword Maniac Elder didn't say much either. Before he left, he said meaningfully, "Martial arts is not the way of power. Maybe you should be glad that Yi Fei isn't a hero." Glad? The two monarchs were stunned. They carefully pondered over the meaning of Sword Maniac Elder's words. Soon, cold sweat rolled down their foreheads. Indeed, if Yi Fei was as ruthless as they had imagined, he would rather destroy the Blood Demon sect without caring about Luo Shi's life. That kind of Yi Fei was undoubtedly extremely terrifying, because if Yi Fei could sacrifice Luo Shi today, he might sacrifice even more people tomorrow. He might even use this opportunity to destroy the 4 countries of the northern region and become the emperor himself. At the thought of this, the Northern Wilderness Heavenly Monarch and the Northern Heavenly Monarch shuddered at the same time. They could not help but smile bitterly and reluctantly. Sigh, I finally understand why we're still monarchs after so many years. Yi Fei, on the other hand, was able to rise from the lowest level of martial artist to the Northern region's Holy King in just a few years. The Northern Wilderness Monarch suddenly sighed. In the past, they were all geniuses of the Northern region. Just like Yi Fei now, they did whatever they pleased and did whatever they wanted. However, after they broke through to Wu Jun and became monarchs, they were only below one person and above hundreds of millions of people. That lofty sentiments, that determination to pursue martial arts, had long since become dim and lifeless. It seems that we're really old. We've lost our ambitions and sincerity. Perhaps this is also why only Yi Fei could pass the assessment of the 6 sacred sects. With a trace of regret, the two monarchs left dejectedly. Holy King, the Holy King is really back. Yi Fei, I knew you'd survive. Unlike the two monarchs' dejection, as soon as Yi Fei returned to the family Yi, the entire family Yi became noisy. Not only Yi Jian, but Yi Bufan, Zhang Huzi, and the others also came over to chat with Yi Fei. Jean Jizi, Frenzy Blade, and the other elders of the sacred sects also came over to join the fun. In the crowd, Yifei also saw the flood dragon he had tamed, Blackie. After not seeing it for a while, Blackie had grown a lot, and its flood dragon tail had gradually evolved into a dragon's tail. Perhaps in a few hundred years, a true dragon would appear in the family Yi. While Yifei was catching up with the family Yi, Jing Wushou, Zhu Zhun, Qin Bing, and the other friends that Yifei had made also came over from the barracks. In the end, even Fu Renjia, Lin Tianjiao, Chen Mingyao, and the 10 great kings came over to chat with Yifei. However, everyone deliberately avoided the topic of Luo Shi. Their conversation with Yifei was also very short. Then, they hurriedly bade farewell, leaving Yifei alone. Even so, Yifei still socialized for an entire day. It wasn't until evening that he finally had some free time to pay a visit to Sword Maniac Elder. However, before Yifei could leave, Sword Maniac Elder had already come looking for him. Old Master Jian. Yifei was very surprised and hurriedly bowed respectfully. Although he wasn't Sword Maniac Elder's master and disciple, in Yifei's heart, Sword Maniac Elder's position was always as important as the Demon Emperor's. Yifei, you don't have to be so courteous. I'm just here to tell you that you didn't do anything wrong today. Humans have 7 emotions and 6 desires, and swords also have 7 emotions and 6 desires. Compared to the Tao of forgetting emotions, perhaps the Tao of forgetting emotions is more suitable for our Tao of the sword. Sword Maniac Elder was hinting at something. He didn't give Yifei any specific pointers. Instead, he deliberately said vaguely, the Tao of one's own understanding is far more suitable for oneself than the Tao taught by others. My own sword is far sharper than the sword of others. Yifei seemed to understand, but his eyes grew brighter. Sword Maniac Elder smiled slightly and didn't say anything else. Instead, he suddenly skipped the topic and asked, in a month's time, you will have a decisive battle with the young master of the Blood Demon sect. This battle concerns Luo Shi's safety and the lives of the people in the northern region. Are you confident in this battle? I'm confident. Yifei's face darkened. Even if he wasn't confident, he had to force himself to be confident. I definitely won't lose this battle. However, if I want to win, I still need Old Master Jian's help. I wanted to tell the 2 monarchs that I need spirit stones. A large amount of spirit stones, preferably mid-grade and above. Spirit stones? All right, I'll tell the 2 monarchs that you can have all the spirit stones in the sacred ground. Sword Maniac Elder didn't ask anything. After knowing that Yifei needed spirit stones, he threw out the spirit stones he had on him and immediately went to look for more spirit stones. Hearing that Yifei needed spirit stones, the 2 monarchs felt a little pained. However, they quickly prepared 500,000 spirit stones and placed them in front of Yifei. Originally, they could have prepared more, but they didn't have that much time left. Looking at the mountain of spirit stones in front of him, Yifei could feel the trust they had in him. His gaze became even more determined. I definitely can't lose the decisive battle in a month's time. I have to think of a way to save Luo Shi. After that, Yifei sat cross-legged in the middle of the pile of spirit stones. He circulated the Devil's Sovereign Scripture and the Battle God's Tao at the same time. He wanted to try to break through to the 12th level of the Martial Saint realm. Chapter 684. Breakthrough at the same time. At the base of the Blood Demon sect, the remaining members of the Blood Demon sect, Wu Jun, suddenly received an order to gather them for a meeting. Although they were worried about the final battle in a month's time, they were now completely bound to the Blood Demon sect. After receiving the order, these Wu Jun immediately rushed to the place where the young master of the Azurus sect cultivated. Greetings, young master. Young master, may I know why you called us here in the middle of the night? These Wu Jun were puzzled because the young master of the Azurus sect had been smiling ever since they came in. He was smiling happily, but at the same time, he looked cold. Finally, one of the Wu Jun couldn't take the pressure anymore. He mustered up his courage and suddenly asked, Young master, if I may ask, Are you confident that you can win the battle with the Northern Region Holy King in a month's time? Victory? Ha ha ha. Of course I have the confidence to win. I am the noble blood Azura. I am different from you weak humans. I was born with the power of Azura. Only we can fully utilize the power of Azura. The Azura young master's face was full of confidence. Hearing this, the worried Wu Jun relaxed. One of the demons, Wu Jun, patted his chest and said, "Young master, don't worry. We are all loyal and devoted to the blood demon sect. We are all willing to go through fire and water for you. We won't hesitate to die for you. Yes, we won't hesitate to die for you. We swear allegiance to you and the blood demon sect." The other Wu Jun shouted, regardless of whether they were willing or not. What a great way to say it. I have already said that brothers are like dogs and women are like clothes. As for my subordinates, they are nothing more than a bunch of dogs. It just so happens that I need something to deal with at Yifei. I hope that you won't be stingy and offer it to me. The Azura clan's young master started to madly and eerily laugh. His laughter caused the titled martial lords present to suddenly have a bad premonition. It was still that evil demon martial lord who continued to ask, "Young master, may I ask what you want us to offer? I want you to offer your lives." Puff. Without any warning, a bloody hand wrung Wu Jun's head off on the spot. Then, more bloody hands reached out and grabbed the other Wu Juns. The angry and terrified roars of Wu Jun and his men soon echoed through the night sky, but they soon returned to normal. The entire blood demon sect's encampment became so quiet that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. It was as gloomy as a ghost town. Boom! A month's time quickly passed. In order to prepare for the final battle, the two country masters had made ample preparations within the border. Also on that day, within the border pass, a pillar of light that soared into the sky suddenly exploded. The titled martial lords who felt the pillar of light all looked in the direction of the pillar of light in surprise. Someone has entered the 12th level of the martial saint realm and become the new titled Wu Jun. Could it be that Yifei has broken through? The news came quickly. To everyone's disappointment, it wasn't Yifei who had broken through to Wu Jun. It was Lin Tianjiao. Lin Tianjiao almost vomited blood when he saw the disappointment on everyone's faces. Damn it. When Fu Renjia broke through, all of you were so happy that you couldn't close your mouths. But when it came to me, no one congratulated me. Congratulations, Lin Tianjiao. At this time, Yifei just came out of seclusion and congratulated Lin Tianjiao. Lin Tianjiao was very depressed. "Yifei, why haven't you broken through yet?" "What? The Sacred King of the North hasn't broken through yet?" The others were surprised as well. In order to help Yifei break through, the two country masters had gathered all the spirit stones they could find. However, Yifei still hadn't broken through. That shouldn't be. Yifei, your combat power has already broken through 1,000,000, right? Why haven't you broken through yet? Fu Renjia and Chun Mingyao walked over together. Lin Tianjiao didn't know if it was an illusion, but the two of them seemed to be very close recently. When he heard that Yifei's combat power had already exceeded 1,000,000, even though he hadn't broken through to Wu Jun, Lin Tianjiao suddenly felt a huge blow. Chun Mingyao also felt a lot of pressure. Of the 5 geniuses, besides Yifei, Fu Renjia and Song, you had already broken through. Lin Tianjiao had also gained great enlightenment after watching Yifei's battle. After a month of bitter cultivation, he had also broken through. Only Chun Mingyao still showed no signs of breaking through. How could Chun Mingyao not be anxious? She was so anxious that she moved closer to Yifei and said, "This doesn't make sense. If Lin Tianjiao can break through by watching the battle, why can't I? Yifei, why don't you fight with Fu Renjia and Lin Tianjiao at the same time? I'll see if I can break through." Puffed. When Lin Tianjiao heard this, he was so scared that he almost vomited blood. Asking him to fight with Yifei, who had a combat power of 1,000,000, was simply insane. Fu Renjia's face was also very pale. Yifei smiled bitterly. Breaking through depended on luck. It wasn't something that could be done by just fighting. However, it was strange. His combat power had already reached 1,000,000, which was the limit of a martial king. At the same time, 1,000,000 combat power was also the limit of Yi Fei's body. If it were anyone else, they would be able to forcibly break through to the level of a titled martial lord with their battle power. However, no matter how hard Yi Fei tried to break through, he still couldn't enter the 12th level of the martial saint realm and become a titled Wu Jun. When Yi Fei voiced out his confusion, the titled Wu Jun of the Alliance were very surprised. What? 1,000,000 combat power, and he still can't break through? Is his talent limited? Talent limited, my ass. With the Sword King's talent, why would he be afraid of talent limitations? Yi Fei, it seems that you have reached a bottleneck because you have improved too fast. Bottlenecks are different from martial arts barriers. Barriers are the shackles of our bodies, while bottlenecks are the shackles of your soul. You have to rely on yourself to break through. In the end, the Lord of Beichuan and Beihuang Heavenly Country found out the reason why Yi Fei couldn't break through. Yi Fei was very upset. It was wrong to cultivate too fast. Luckily, I didn't break through to the Martial King realm during my seclusion, but I did reach the second level of the Path of God of War. With a combat power of 1,000,000 and the power of the sacred artifact, Yi Fei was confident that he could fight against Wu Jun, who was at the 6th level of the titled realm. On top of that, he also had the forbidden power of Azura, which had been enhanced by the 2nd level of the Path of God of War. At the moment, he wasn't even afraid of Wu Jun, who was at the 9th level of the titled realm. I don't believe that young Lord Azura can improve his strength to the 10th level of Wu Jun. Brother, wait for me. I will get you out soon. Boom! Just as Yi Fei was thinking about this, the roars of the demons from the Blood Demon Church once again rang out from outside the city. However, compared to a month ago, the number of the Blood Demon Sect's troops had decreased significantly. None of the titled Wu Jun who had sided with the Blood Demon Sect could be seen. Yi Fei found it strange. But no matter how strange it was, this battle was inevitable. Let's fight. Chapter 685. A fight to the death. Then, that person must be me. Yi Fei flew into the sky, ignoring the army of demons outside. He walked straight toward the young master of the Shura clan. This was a show of confidence and contempt. The young master of the Shura clan was enraged by Yi Fei's arrogance. Yi Fei, do you think this is still 1 month ago? Now I will show you how terrifying the real blood Shura is. Blood Demon descends. A blood-red beam of light, as thick as a bucket, emerged from the young master of the Shura clan. Yi Fei saw a bone blade in the young master's hand. It was glowing with a strange, blood-red light. Yi Fei could tell right away that it was a holy weapon, a very strange holy weapon. Around the holy weapon, there were 10 titled battle pet warriors of Wu Jun's soul roaring at the same time. How is this possible? Those are all titled battle pet warriors of the Blood Demon Sect, Wu Jun. How could the young master of the Shura clan kill them and use them to forge an evil holy weapon? All the Wu Jun members of the Blood Demon Alliance were in an uproar. Even though they were enemies, they felt sorry for the young master of the Blood Demon Alliance. Yi Fei stared at the young master of the Shura clan in shock. How can you be so cruel? You won't even spare your loyal subordinates? That's right. We of the Blood Shura clan are cruel. In this world, there is only the strong and the weak. There is no right or wrong. Yi Fei, if you don't want your brother Luo Shi to be killed by me, then accept your death obediently. Blood Demon cut. Boom. The young master of the Shura clan raised the bone blade in his hand and slashed forward. A long streak of blood-red light rolled forward. It was terrifying. Even the martial kings of the Blood Demon Sect were frightened by this aura. They felt as if their souls were about to be torn apart by the bone blade. But in the face of this strike, Yi Fei did not retreat. The phoenix blood sword in his hand had already ignited. It was like a raging inferno, but also like a meteor. When he thrust out his sword, the world trembled. A horrifying sword image formed a whirlpool and quickly clashed with the blood chi. Then, the saber chi and sword intent exploded at the same time, turning into flowing light and disappearing from the world. In their first exchange of blows, Yi Fei and the young master of the Azura clan were once again evenly matched. This made Yi Fei's expression turn ugly. Clearly, the young master of the Azura clan's combat strength had increased a lot in the past month. The moment the sword and saber collided, a powerful force nearly caused Yi Fei to lose his grip on the Phoenix Bloodsword. 9th level Martial Lord. This young master of the Azura Kingdom has devoured the blood energy of all the titled martial lords under him. His battle power has very possibly risen to the 9th level of the Martial Lord realm. The Beichuan Kingdom's ruler's expression was incomparably grave. What? 9th stage Wu Jun? Then won't Yi Fei be likely to lose? The other Wu Juns of the Alliance looked worried. After all, this battle was not only related to the grudge between Yi Fei and the young master of the Azura clan. Similarly, it was also related to the future of the northern region. If Yi Fei won, the northern region would still be able to maintain its original state. But if Yi Fei lost and the Blood Demon sect won, then the northern region would become a complete demonic territory. Hundreds of millions of people would live under the threat of the demons and live in precarious conditions. Yi Fei must win this battle. Many martial artists were silently praying. Inside the city, countless low-level martial artists had already formed a long line in front of Yi Fei's statue. They could not participate in this battle, so they could only choose to believe in Yi Fei and hope that Yi Fei would win. Rumble, 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 rumble. The fiery sword light and the demonic glow of the bone blade kept colliding, parting, and then colliding again. However, Yi Fei and the young master of the Azura clan were on par with each other in terms of combat strength, and they both had divine artifacts. For the time being, neither could do anything to the other. Kill. The young master of the Azura clan was shocked and furious when he saw that the bone blade forged by Wu Jun's subordinates was still unable to do anything to Yi Fei even after sacrificing all of them. Yi Fei, you're just a mortal. How dare you try to steal the power of the Azura clan? You deserve to die. The Six-Path Sacred Sects should also be destroyed. Blood light destroys gods. The bone blade in his hand suddenly became incomparably huge. The young master of the Azura clan raised it with both hands and swung it down viciously. The sky was torn in half by the bone blade and shattered into invisible fragments that enveloped Yi Fei. However, before the bone blade could get close, Yi Fei suddenly raised the wind blood sword in his hand and swung it forward with a roar. The void split open. Yi Fei's expression was cold as he stepped into the void with his sword and appeared behind the young master of the Azura clan. His sword light soared into the sky and formed a huge black sword that split the sky. The terrifying sword shadow pierced the back of the young master of the Azura clan in the blink of an eye. Bloodhand Azura. The young master of the Azura clan did not even turn his head when he felt the sudden attack coming from behind him. Instead, hundreds of bloody hands extended from his back. In the middle of each bloody hand, there was a sinister eyeball that stared coldly at the sword light and emitted a demonic glow. 100 eyes, kill the enemy. Yi Fei die. Rumble. The void started to shake. The hundreds of bloody hands seemed to have grown eyes as well. As they coldly charged towards the sword shadow, the bloody hands suddenly turned into hundreds of bloody pythons that roared crazily and continuously collided with the sword light. Soon, the sword light was completely drowned out. Blood Demon Slash. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the young master of the Azura clan turned around coldly. He raised his bone blade again and charged towards Yi Fei. A huge bloody light formed into a waterfall and was about to cut Yi Fei in half. Woo 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 woo. At the same time, the roars of a group of ghosts sounded in Yi Fei's ears. It turned out that they were the dozen Wu Juns that the young master of the Azura clan had killed. They were born with resentment and were refined into evil spirits after death. Layers of illusions were created to confuse Yi Fei's mind. Seeing this, Yi Fei only sneered. Sword heart illumination, devouring sword intent. Since you all committed evil in life, there's no need for you to exist after death. All of you shall be destroyed. Rumble. An enormous black hole appeared behind Yi Fei. Suddenly, it opened its mouth and swallowed Yi Fei, as well as the roaring martial monarch vengeful spirits beside him. Young Master Azura's saber ray naturally missed its target. It passed through Yi Fei and struck the ground, slicing a mountain in half from the middle. Boundless demonic aura surged out from the crack in the mountain peak, turning it into a demonic peak. The countless young martial kings who were watching the battle nearby were so frightened that their faces turned white. However, before they could regain their senses, more than 10 miserable shrieks came from the black hole. With a rumble, Yi Fei charged out of the black hole again. However, there were no more vengeful spirits around him. Instead, there was only a huge burning sword light. Young Master of the Azura clan, is this all you've got? Then die. Yi Fei's expression was cold. He used all his strength to slash down. As the sword slashed down, the entire sky turned into a world of raging flames. He kill me? Don't forget whose body I'm occupying now. The young master of the Azura clan let out a sinister laugh. He deliberately used Luo Shi's voice. Brother Fei, don't kill me. I'm Luo Shi. I'm your brother. Luo Shi? You're Luo Shi? Yi Fei's sword light paused. He seemed to be hesitating. Chapter 686. A very vicious sword Luo Shi's sinister laughter came from Luo Shi's mouth. While Yi Fei was distracted, Luo Shi successfully dodged the sword light and rushed in front of Yi Fei. Blood Demon Slash. Demonic energy filled the sky as a huge bone blade swept forward and slashed towards Yi Fei's neck. Young Master Shura had used almost all of his strength in this attack. There was a sinister grin on his face, as if he had succeeded in his scheme. He also believed that his blade would definitely be able to kill Yi Fei. After all, every second counted in a battle between experts. Sometimes, a moment of carelessness could decide the outcome of the battle. Of course, this was only if the opponent was careless. Behind Yi Fei stood Family Yi, Elder Sword Maniac, Jing Wushou, Zhu Zhen, Qin Bing, and his other friends. There were also millions of soldiers. In this situation, how could Yi Fei be careless and be distracted? Young Master Shura, you've been tricked. Boom! The moment the bone blade fell, Yi Fei's expression changed from hesitation to determination. He let out a roar more terrifying than a thunderclap. It was the war demon's roar. At this moment, resplendent golden light shone from Yi Fei's body. It was so dazzling that people couldn't open their eyes. What? Young Master Shura suddenly realized that his bone blade had been grabbed by a golden hand. It was as if a giant had grabbed a mountain. Let go! Fear flashed through the depths of young Master Shura's eyes. He started to roar like a ferocious beast that had been grabbed by its claws and teeth. He started to struggle violently. The bone blade emitted an intense demonic light that was as sharp as needles. The light shot in all directions and pierced countless holes in the void. Yi Fei, who had grabbed the bone blade with his bare hand, suddenly felt a sharp pain in his palm. The demonic light actually pierced through his war demon's golden body and his palm, emitting a blood-red radiance. Young Master Shura believed that Yi Fei would definitely let go of the bone blade, unless Yi Fei wanted his hand to be crippled. Young Master Azura was even prepared to do his best to snatch the bone blade back. He was just waiting for Yi Fei to let go of the blade when he couldn't bear the pain. At this moment, Yi Fei's eyes flashed with a frightening ferocity. Brother, he thought of Luo Shi, whose body had been taken over, and also thought of the bits and pieces of their past together. Brother, I've already lost it once. I definitely won't lose it a second time. Even if this hand is shattered, I still won't let go. Yi Fei's expression turned ferocious. Ignoring the pain in his palm, he did not let go. Instead, he tightened his grip and used even more strength. This shocked the young master of the Azura clan, who was pulling with all his might. Yi Fei, you're crazy. That's right. I'm crazy because Luo Shi is my brother. Get out of my brother's body. Kill. With his left hand grabbing the demon's bone blade, Yifei's right hand unceremoniously swung the phoenix blood sword at the Shura young master. So that's how it is. You didn't hesitate to cripple your hand to save Luo Shi. What a touching brotherhood. You humans are really a disgusting and stupid, inferior race. Since you want this bone blade, I'll give it to you. Young Master Azura had no intention of leaving Luo Shi's body, nor did he want to be killed by Yifei. Therefore, he very cunningly chose the third option. Young Master Azura knew that as long as he was in Luo Shi's body, Yifei would not dare to kill him. Therefore, he suddenly gave up on fighting for the bone blade and rapidly retreated. Boom! Yifei's sword also missed its target. His expression turned extremely ugly. He had practiced this trick of injuring himself to gain young Lord Azura's confidence countless times. He hadn't expected that young Lord Azura would be able to resolve it so easily. Kill! The anger in his heart boiled. Yifei stepped forward, but his phoenix blood sword still did not leave young Master Azura's throat. You don't dare to kill me. Yifei, you're such a person. You'd rather cripple your hand for your brother. I don't believe that you'll really kill me. Killing me is the same as killing your brother. Yifei, do you dare? Do you have the guts? Ha ha ha. Young Master Azura laughed maniacally. He stood on the spot, his expression cold and cunning as he watched Yifei's sword stab at his throat. At the same time, hundreds of bloody hands appeared behind him again. This time, the eyes in the middle of the bloody hands all opened, forming a dense mass of scarlet eyeballs. They stared coldly at Yifei before swallowing Yifei. Dance of the Blood Pythons. Yifei, your life, this young lord will gladly accept it. Roar. Countless bloody hands turned into blood pythons, opening their huge mouths and swallowing Yifei. At this moment, Yifei's sword was only 10 meters away from young Master Azura's throat. However, he didn't stab down at this distance. Instead, he roared, sheathed his sword, and raised his saber. Yifei grabbed the wicked demon bone blade and threw it out. Explode! No! Young Master Azura's proud face suddenly turned pale. Then he became enraged. He didn't expect Yifei to destroy his sage weapon. One must know that he had paid a huge price to create this bone blade. It was a great killing weapon that he had used to kill Yifei. When he saw the bone blade that he had painstakingly created explode in the air and blow apart hundreds of his blood pythons, even the gloomy young master of the Azura clan was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of black blood. Then, in the midst of the exploding blood pythons' corpses, young Master Azura's body suddenly emitted 10 rays of holy light, which helped him block the terrifying impact of the sage weapon's explosion. That's the power of the Saint Bodhi. So that's why you have a combat power of 1,000,000 after merging with the Saint Bodhi. Yifei was shocked. Only now did he know the true source of young Master Azura's power. That's right, this is the Saint Bodhi. Damn it, if you hadn't taken 2 of them, I would have stepped into the 12th level of the Martial Saint realm and become the strongest titled Wu Jun in a martial sky continent. Yifei, you must be very curious as to why we can't reach the Wu Jun level even though we both have a combat power of 1,000,000, right? Young Master Azura wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said proudly and coldly, could it be because of the Saint Bodhi? Yifei wasn't stupid. He quickly understood what young Master Azura meant. Young Master Azura nodded and sneered. The power of the Saint Bodhi is very special. Any martial artist who comes into contact with it only has one choice, and that is to merge with it. Only by successfully merging with it can one step into a higher realm. Now, do you understand how great our enmity is? If a mortal like you hadn't ruined my plans, how could I still be stuck in the 10th level of the Martial King realm? Now, I'll let you know the power of the Saint Bodhi. Kill. Blood World's holy light slash. Boom. The whole world suddenly became exceptionally bright. In a dazzling light, a total of 10 huge balls of holy light surrounded the blood-red sword light. They were like 10 suns, and they blasted toward Yifei. Although it was an evil martial art, under the pale yellow light, Yifei suddenly felt a strange and peaceful aura. Is it the aura of Buddha? Chapter 687. To perish together, blood world holy light slash. Ye Fei, you're dead meat today. The Azura clan's young master had an ominous glint on his face. His boundless blood aura was like a landslide and a tsunami. In the end, it completely condensed into an enormous crimson blade ray. It tore through the sky and slashed toward the earth. The titled martial lords present all lost their color, and their hearts trembled involuntarily. Sky Destroyer, Sky Destroyer. Boom! Once again, a ray of sword light emerged from Ye Fei. That ray of sword light was strong enough to destroy heaven and earth and slay gods and demons. The ray of sword light tore open the sky. Another ray of sword light tore open the sky and slashed forward. Wherever the ray of sword light went, the sky seemed to have ceased to exist. Everything was reduced to nothingness. That was the Sky Destroyer. Even the sky could be destroyed, not to mention the young lord of the Ashura clan. Ye Fei had done his best. Not only did he release the complete sword intent, but he had also infused it with all the strength of the Ashura clan. As far as the eye could see, there seemed to be two colors above the crowd. One was the color of blood, and the other was the glow of the sword. Who will win this battle? All the title battle pet warriors Wu Jun gazed at the sky. The collision of the sword and the saber was an eye-opener for them. Their hearts were trembling. They are only at the 10th rank of the Martial King realm, but they can exert a combat strength of 1,000,000. Those two young people would be top talents, even in the Central Plains. Many title battle pet warriors Wu Jun exclaimed. Fu Renjia and the others stared at the two approaching figures. With a boom, Ye Fei's ray of sword light and the ray of sword light from the young lord of the Ashura clan clashed together. Another huge windstorm burst out, spreading for thousands of meters. Anything within that range was either smashed into pieces by the ray of sword light or destroyed by the ray of sword light. In the middle of the battlefield, two huge ravines, 100 meters deep, were quickly formed. One of the ravines slashed towards the Alliance's army formation, shaking the dozen or so titled martial lords. They all coughed up blood and retreated. They were not lightly injured. The other ravine slashed towards the Blood Demon Church's army. However, the current titled martial lords of the Blood Demon Church had all died. None of the remaining evil demon martial kings were able to block Ye Fei's sword light. Who knew how many evil demons were turned into ashes by the sword light? Terrifying, too terrifying. The other demons were shocked. They looked at Ye Fei with horror and terror. If it weren't for young Lord Azura's power, they would have turned around and fled for their lives. In the sky, young Master Azura's expression was extremely ugly as he looked at the deep wound on his body. He had almost been killed by Ye Fei's sword light just now. Ye Fei, this is your brother's body. If you kill me, you'll be killing your brother. How dare you? Young Lord Azura couldn't believe it. The reason why he chose Luo Shi as his body was because he was sure that Ye Fei was a loyal and righteous person and would never harm his own brother. That way, he would be able to gain an advantage in the battle against Ye Fei. Still, young Lord Azura had miscalculated. He didn't expect that Ye Fei would have the guts to kill him and his brother. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. You must be trying to scare me. Emotions are the biggest weakness of you humans and the most disgusting part of you. I don't believe that you would have the guts to kill your brother. Go to hell. Cut of the blood world. Boom. The blood-red sword light appeared again. Young Lord Azura's eyes were bloodshot. The 10 sacred Bodhi pearls around him once again emitted a holy glow. 10 shooting stars were formed, and the sacred Bodhi pearls smashed onto the ground. Ye Fei's expression was cold as he faced the sword light. He raised the Phoenix blood sword, but his body suddenly swayed. With a cry, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Hee, the Emperor's sword technique isn't that easy to use. Ye Fei, you used all your strength to barely block my attack. Let's see how you block my second attack. Cut. Young Lord Azura was so excited that his entire body was trembling. As long as he killed Ye Fei, he would be able to take back the sacred Bodhi pearls that he had lost. He would then be able to condense the 12 primordial spirits and become the strongest Wu Jun. As long as he killed Yi Fei, he would be able to lead the Blood Demon sect to control the entire North region. He would reign supreme. Kill you, kill you, kill you. Ha 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 ha. With a triumphant and proud laugh, the blade light finally landed. In an instant, it slashed onto Yi Fei's body. This scene caused all the spectators to widen their eyes. Could it be that even someone as powerful as Yi Fei will die? Our northern region is finished. A titled martial lord revealed a pessimistic expression as he looked at Yi Fei, who was gradually being engulfed by the blood-red light. No, Yi Fei will not lose. If he can defeat me, he will definitely defeat young Lord Azura. Fu Renjia's eyes were like torches as he stared fixedly at the sky. Lin Tianjiao, Chen Mengyao, Jing Wushou, and Qin Bing were also confident in Yi Fei. There were also many young martial kings who had witnessed Yi Fei's strength. Yi Fei, you have to do your best. Many young martial kings were praying in their hearts. Boom! As if to answer their prayers, Yi Fei's body was gradually being swallowed by the bloody light in the sky. Once again, a brilliant ray of sword light shot out. He had been waiting for this ray of sword light for a long time. He had been preparing for it for a long time. However, Yi Fei had refrained from using it until the young lord of the Azura clan had exhausted all of his strength and could no longer dodge it. Finally, Yi Fei made his move. His body that had been swallowed by the bloody light suddenly burst out with the most horrifying dark ray of sword light. Yi Fei's devouring sword intent was fully unleashed without any hesitation. You want to kill me? Why don't we die together? Yi Fei sneered. He ignored the blood world's holy light that was destroying his body. The phoenix blood sword that was covered in blood suddenly turned into a huge, fiery sword shadow that was also aimed at the young lord of the Azura clan. The young lord of the Azura clan was horrified. He couldn't believe that Yi Fei would be so crazy. He would rather take the blood world's holy light head-on than take the chance to perish together with him. You're crazy. Yi Fei, you're AF asterisk king crazy. You're willing to sacrifice your life to save Luo Shi, to save a dog. The young lord of the Azura clan cursed. However, his curses were quickly drowned out by Yi Fei's furious roar and the sound of his sword. Shut up. Remember, Luo Shi, he's my brother. Brother, rest in peace. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, the sword also descended. The huge ray of sword light was merciless as it slashed at the young lord of the Azura clan and Luo Shi's body. With this strike, Luo Shi and the young lord of the Azura clan would definitely be finished. Yi Fei couldn't help but shed tears of blood the moment he drew his sword. The young lord of the Azura clan's eyes finally revealed complete fear when the sword light landed on his body. He's serious. He's a madman. He would rather kill Luo Shi than perish together with me. No, Yi Fei, I won't let you do that. I'll let you watch with your own eyes as you kill your brother with your own hands. Then, you'll live in endless regret. Chapter 688. Azura blood cursed, sensing that Yi Fei was really willing to die. The young master of the Azura blood cult was extremely unwilling after his initial fear. After all, he had not put in so much effort just to perish together with Yi Fei. I want to rule the entire northern region. I want to become the strongest genius. My future is brighter than the sun. I can't die here with a lunatic like Yi Fei. Bam! With resentment and helplessness, the young master of the Azura blood cult was forced into a dead end. He decisively transformed into countless rays of bloodlight and drilled out of Luo Shi's body. Then, he retreated to a safe distance at lightning speed, forming a blood-red shadow that stood in the air. Brother Fei. Without the blood shadow's control, Luo Shi finally regained control of himself. Then, he watched as Yi Fei mercilessly slashed down with his sword while shedding tears of blood. Luo Shi instantly understood what was going on. He did not feel resentment or fear. He only smiled as he looked at Yi Fei and watched as the giant sword gradually engulfed his body. Brother Fei, to be able to be brothers with you in this lifetime, I, Luo Shi, can die with no regrets Luo Shi, I feel the same. To be able to meet a few bosom buddies in this lifetime. So what if I die? Yifei laughed heartily. Suddenly, he wiped away the tears of blood on his face. The merciless sword that was originally aimed at Luo Shi was forcefully split into two at the moment of Luo Shi's death. Boom! In the end, the sure-kill sword split into two sword shadows, narrowly brushing past Luo Shi's body. Even so, Luo Shi was also severely injured. He screamed as he fell to the ground. But soon a hand grabbed him. It was Yifei's hand. Luo Shi was extremely shocked because Yifei was practically a man of blood at this moment. Although he had successfully forced the young master of the Azura blood cult out of Luo Shi's body by daring to die, Yifei had also taken the brunt of the young master of the Azura blood cult's strongest attack. His body was severely injured. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that if young Master Azura had been a little more ruthless, he would have been as willing to die as Yifei. In that case, even if Yifei managed to save Luo Shi, he would definitely be killed by young Master Azura. Of course, it was also very likely that young Master Azura would be killed by Yifei's sword before he died. Unfortunately, young Master Shura didn't have that kind of determination, nor did he have the courage to die. So he retreated. At the last moment, he used the blood demon body disintegration to escape from Luo Shi's body, allowing Yifei to successfully save Luo Shi. Fei, looking at Yifei, who was covered in blood, and even his bones were exposed, Luo Shi felt a lump in his throat. Suddenly, he could not help but cry bitterly. It's all my fault for implicating you. Seeing Yifei willing to commit suicide in order to save his brother, the young master of the Azura clan was shocked. Then, he suddenly felt extremely embarrassed. Damn it, this young master was actually tricked. Yifei, you weren't trying to commit suicide. You were just trying to scare me. Go to hell. Blood World Holy Light / Boom! The sky was dyed red, instantly forming a sea of blood. Taking advantage of Yifei's heavy injuries, young Master Shura was unwilling to give up. He once again used all his strength and tried to sneak an attack on Yifei. Yifei also quickly sensed young Master Shura's intentions. He pushed Luo Shi away and pushed him towards the Alliance's camp. At the same time, his sharp eyes were filled with indifference and anger as he stared coldly at young Master Shura. This gaze suddenly made young Master Shura feel a great sense of fear. But before he could figure out where this fear came from, Yifei moved again. Yifei moved again. He straightened his heavily injured body, like a sharp sword, like an angry dragon. His hair fluttered in the wind, and then an incomparably terrifying, destructive sword light appeared. Then it exploded from inside out. Boom! The undying sword's soul awakened in his body. It seemed to be roaring and angry. Following Yifei's will, a large amount of purple energy instantly surged into Yifei's body. Under young Master Shura's fearful gaze, Yifei's heavily injured body rapidly recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Yifei raised the Phoenix Blood Sword again. The fiery sword shadow burned the sky and shattered young Master Shura's third Blood World Holy Light / Young Master Shura's blood shadow suddenly trembled. He roared in shock. No, this can't be true. You were clearly heavily injured by me, and your combat strength was completely depleted. You should be waiting for death. Why is there still such a terrifying power in your body? You want to know? Go ask the King of Hell yourself when you're in hell. Yifei's face was as cold as ice. The sword fire in his hand was burning like lava. Apocalyptic sword, burning sky style. Boom! A sword fire that was dozens of meters long suddenly appeared in the sky. It tore through space and burned the sky and earth. Damn it, you lowly human. Don't even think about killing me. I'm the noble blood Shura, holy Shura. Blood World Holy Light. The sea of blood roared and was condensed into a huge blood sword by young Master Shura. It slashed towards Yifei's sword fire. At this moment, a ruthless smile flashed across Yifei's face. What's the use of blocking it? If I want you to die, you won't be able to live. Killing Apotheosis Realm Empty Fist. Boom. The terrifying sword intent dissipated. The blazing fist intent appeared again from Yi Fei's body. He stood in the sky like an ancient ancestor. He looked death in the face and punched out coldly. The ruthless fist intent ignored the sea of blood and hit young Master Shura's blood shadow. At this moment, young Master Shura was still feeling smug. He thought that he had successfully blocked Yi Fei's sword fire. Even in his dreams, he didn't dare to believe that there was such a suicidal fist technique in this world. To kill one's enemy, one had to kill oneself first. He didn't even have time to react. A vast and ancient iron fist had already shattered the sea of blood and his blood shadow. Actually lost. Blood Shura, actually lost to a lowly human. Young Master Shura's face was filled with despair and fear. In the end, this fear turned into a deep hatred. The instant blood shadow exploded. He suddenly stared at Yi Fei with an extremely malicious gaze and cursed him one last time. Yi Fei, I curse you. You will be hunted down by me, Blood Shura, for all eternity. Yi Fei, I curse you. You will encounter an inner demon the moment you step into the martial sage realm. Your body and soul will be destroyed. Yi Fei, your fate was sealed the moment you obtained the sacred Bodhi and killed me. You were abandoned by the heavens. You will also be abandoned by the heavens. Ha ha ha. Young Master Shura's life finally came to an end, accompanied by a sinister and terrifying laugh. His shadow instantly exploded into the tiniest of dust. It was also within this dust that there were 10 glowing sacred Bodhi. After young Master Shura died, they suddenly turned into light and rushed towards Yi Fei's body. What's going on? Yi Fei frowned, seeing the sacred Bodhi rushing towards him. Yi Fei suddenly had a bad premonition. However, before he could figure out what was wrong, whoosh. As if attracted by the other sacred Bodhi, the 2 sacred Bodhi hidden in Yi Fei's beast mark suddenly turned into flowing light and instantly merged into Yi Fei's body. They directly rushed into his dantian and absorbed all the energy in his dantian in the blink of an eye. Chapter 689. Promotion to Wu Jun. Just like that, Yi Fei could only watch as the 12 sacred Bodhi rushed into his body at the same time. They were like 12 suns, shining brightly in his dantian. The light was very peaceful. Yi Fei guessed that it was probably the light of Buddha. However, this light was very harmonious with the power of Azura, reaching a strange balance. In this balance, Yi Fei was surprised to find that the power he had lost was instantly restored. The power of Azura that he had consumed was also rapidly replenished under the effect of the 12 sacred Bodhi. Then, it surged into Yi Fei's limbs and bones. Rumble. It was clearly a human body, but at this moment, Yi Fei's body was filled with the roar of a river. Yi Fei was completely unable to control the surging power of Azura. What was even more frightening was that as the power of Azura increased, his blood started to burn on its own. The raging flames of blood and chi spread out from Yi Fei's body, causing Yi Fei to look like a huge fireball standing in the sky. At the same time, the roar of a ferocious beast came from the fireball. At this moment, even the ancient beast mark on his body was affected. Layers of mysterious scales covered Yi Fei's entire body. Then, these scales turned into flowing light and countless strange runes that surged into Yi Fei's body. Boom! At this moment, the heavens and earth were furious. As if someone had done something that angered the heavens, a thick purple thunderbolt descended from the sky and blasted mercilessly at Yi Fei's body. However, before this thunderbolt landed, Yi Fei's blood and chi suddenly turned into a huge beast that looked like a dragon. It opened its mouth and swallowed the thunderbolt in one gulp. Then, it sank back into Yi Fei's body. This scene scared Yi Fei half to death. That seemed like a heavenly punishment. Damn, I didn't do anything bad. Why did I attract heavenly punishment? Could this be the curse of blood, Azura? Yi Fei had never expected that the 12 sacred Bodhi rushing into his dantian at the same time would cause such a terrifying thing. This blood azura was too shameless. Even before his death, he still wanted to trick him. Helpless, Yi Fei could only wait for the 12 sacred Bodhi in his body to completely merge. At the same time, he was a little worried that another thunderbolt would descend from the sky. On the ground, countless cultivators were staring at Yi Fei, who was in the midst of his breakthrough, dumbfounded. Northern Region Sage King Yi Fei was breaking through to the martial saint realm. As expected of a person abandoned by the heavens, he has only stepped into the realm of martial lords. Yet Yi Fei has actually attracted divine punishment. Fu Renjie and Lin Tianjiao both had lingering fears. They had also broken through to the titled Wu Jun. However, the commotion caused by their breakthrough was not even 1,000th of the commotion caused by Yi Fei. This was also something that people who had been abandoned by the heavens felt the most helpless about. The higher one's cultivation level, the greater the chance of suffering heavenly punishment. If it weren't for the fact that Yi Fei had already obtained the complete annihilation sword and absorbed the Xianhuang Qi to change his fate, that heavenly punishment might have already killed him. Usually, it would take a long time to break through to the titled Wu Jun. It was even rarer for someone like Yi Fei to start breaking through right after the battle. After Fu Renjie and the others recovered from their shock, they immediately retracted their gazes and looked at the Blood Demon Sect's army. Following young Lord Azura's death, the Blood Demon Sect's army was in chaos. Countless evil devils fled in all directions in fear, wanting to leave the battlefield. Of course, there were also the hardcore blood-robed martial kings of the Blood Demon Sect who were provoked by young Lord Azura's death. They roared and formed a dense mass of dark shadows. They rushed into the sky, wanting to fight Yi Fei to the death. Stop them. Also, send my order. Everyone, attack. Kill the remaining members of the Blood Demon Sect. The Lord of the Northern Wilderness and the Lord of Beichuan had waited for a long time. Finally, they saw the light of victory. Of course, they would not let go of this opportunity. Sword Maniac Elder did not take action because he was worried that Yi Fei's breakthrough would be affected. The other titled Wu Jun and the 5 million soldiers all roared and charged toward the chaotic army of the Blood Demon Sect. Due to young Lord Azura's death, apart from the blood-robed martial kings of the Blood Demon Sect who were still fighting back crazily, the rest of the evil devils were in disarray. They only cared about running for their lives. Some evil devils even waved their knives at their companions in order to run faster. Xiao Wang and Shun Tuming had been stabbed in the back by a few demons while they were running for their lives. They had died unwillingly on the battlefield. With their deaths, the chaotic bandits were even less of a match for the Alliance. Soon, the tens of thousands of bandits that had escaped from the desert were all killed by the Alliance. Miraculously, the threat of the bandits in the north was resolved. As for the other evil devils, they either took advantage of the chaos to run away and continue to hide, or they were killed or captured. The 1 million soldiers of the Blood Demon Sect were wiped out in just one day. Only the tens of thousands of blood-robed martial kings, the core of the Blood Demon Sect, were still roaring. They would rather die than surrender. Some of them even tried to detonate themselves and drag others down with them. With no other choice, the Alliance's Wu Jun could only join hands and kill all of the blood-robed martial kings that were controlled by the Blood Demon Sect. It was worth mentioning that when the evil devils were running away, the two brothers, by Tianyun and by Tiansheng, were actually extremely loyal to young Lord Azura. Not only did they not run away, they even died along with the tens of thousands of blood-robed martial kings. This made Zhu Zhen and Beigong Chun sigh. After that, other than the Alliance's army that continued to pursue the remnants of the Blood Demon Sect, all the young martial kings and the titled Wu Jun remained on the battlefield. They raised their heads and looked at the sky, preparing to see Yi Fei step into the 12th level of the martial saint realm. It was also at this time that Yi Fei finally used all his strength to completely fuse the 12 sacred Bodhi pearls within his body together. Following the fusion of the sacred Bodhi pearls, Yi Fei's breakthrough to Wu Jun was imminent. The heavens and earth were enraged once again. Thunder and lightning vaguely appeared in the void. However, as if they were wary of something, the thunder and lightning did not descend. The power of Azura within Yi Fei's body had finally accumulated to an extreme level. At this time, he could clearly feel that the martial barrier that he had been unable to break through was starting to loosen. As long as he could break through the shackles of his fleshly body in one go, even if he was a person abandoned by the heavens, he could still step into the 12th level of the martial saint realm and pursue a stronger martial Dao. No, Yi Fei, you can't break through. You have forgotten young Lord Azura's curse. If you break through now, you will definitely die. Suddenly, an anxious voice resounded in Yi Fei's mind. Hearing this voice, Yi Fei was clearly stunned. He shook his head and said, "Curses are illusory. I can't give up on breaking through just because of a dead person's curse, can I? Yi Fei, don't be silly. Don't forget that you are a person abandoned by the heavens. How can you step into the 12th level of the martial saint realm so easily? Have you forgotten that those 10 sacred Bodhi pearls were given to you by young Lord Azura on purpose? Do you think he would be so kind? Once you break through, you will immediately self-detonate and die." But Yi Fei was just about to speak. The voice in his mind interrupted him. "There's nothing to worry about. Yi Fei, you have been tricked. Young Lord Azura is actually not dead. If you don't believe me, open your eyes and look. They have already used their devilish arts to regain control over your friends and family." Whoosh! Hearing this voice, Yi Fei subconsciously opened his eyes and looked towards the ground. A trace of shock flashed across his face. He saw countless young lords of Azura standing around him. He was currently hiding in the crowd. Traces of blood silently merged into the bodies of Jing Wushou, the sword maniac elder, Fu Renjia, Lin Tianjiao, and the others. However, they were actually unable to detect it. Chapter 690. Bedevilment confused by the voice. Yi Fei couldn't tell whether those young masters of the Ashura clan were real or not. He felt that the young master of the Ashura clan was hiding in the crowd, sneering at him, and waiting for an opportunity to take control of someone's body so that he could continue to cause trouble. What should I do? Yi Fei continued to ask the voice in his heart. He didn't know why, but he had a strong sense of trust towards this voice. He felt that everything it said was right. What else can you do? Kill him, of course. If you don't kill him, he will cause endless trouble. Only by killing the young master of the Ashura clan can you reach the titled Wu Jun, the voice sneered. A red glow rose in Yi Fei's eyes. That's right. I have to kill the young master of the Ashura clan. Only by killing him can he stop hurting my friends and family. Kill him. The red glow in his eyes gradually turned as red as blood. Then, the burning flames on Yi Fei's body turned pitch black, filled with an eerie air. He opened his eyes and stared coldly at everyone on the ground. In Yi Fei's eyes, all of them seemed to be the young master of the Ashura clan. They could trigger the strongest killing intent in Yi Fei's heart. What should I do? There are so many young masters of the Ashura clan. Which one is the real one? Who should I kill to kill him? Yi Fei hesitated. Don't hesitate. They are all young masters of the Ashura clan. Kill them all, and you will become the titled Wu Jun. You will become the most powerful chosen warrior in the northern region. The voice continued. Kill them all. Yi Fei's doubt gradually turned into determination. Yes, kill them all. Kill them all. Kill them all. When we Azuras do things, we should kill endlessly. Kill until the heavens and earth are turned upside down, until rivers of blood flow. The voice in Xiao Chen's heart was almost roaring. He wished he could replace Yi Fei and kill all the people below. Do I really have to kill them all? Yi Fei was still hesitating. He was struggling unconsciously, trying to get rid of the temptation of the voice. Yes, kill them all. Kill them all. Kill every living thing you see. The voice in his heart suddenly became agitated, falling into some kind of fanaticism. This fanaticism completely destroyed the hesitation in Yi Fei's heart. His gaze became resolute as the black flames on his body continued to expand. Yes, I want to kill them. I want to kill them all. Yi Fei roared in his heart. Under the gazes of the crowd, the blood-red flames in the sky had already turned completely pitch black, emitting a sinister and evil aura. Many young martial kings did not understand what was going on. They wondered, what's going on? The aura of the northern region, Saint King, seems to have changed. Is he an evil demon? Evil demon. Fu Renjie and Lin Tianjiao's expressions changed at the same time. Not good. Yi Fei has actually turned into a demon. Once he does, our entire northern region will be destroyed. The Northern Wilderness ruler and Northern Chuan ruler were the first to realize that something was wrong with Yi Fei. Bedeviled, Brother Fei is actually bedeviled. Luo, she could not believe it. In order to save him, Yi Fei was even willing to give up his life. Now, Yi Fei had turned into a demon. It's all my fault. Luo, she shed tears. If he could choose, he would rather die in place of Yi Fei. Saint Lord, what should we do to help Yi Fei? Jing Wushou and the others all looked anxiously at Sword Maniac Elder. But at this moment, Sword Maniac Elder looked up at the sky and sighed. No one can help Yi Fei. Once he turns into a demon, Yi Fei will lose his humanity and become a complete murderous demon. He will also become more evil than the Shure young master. The Northern Wilderness ruler sighed. Sigh, this is unexpected. Our northern region finally has a holy king, but now he has turned into a demon. Is there really no chance for our northern region to rise again? The Northern Wilderness ruler was also extremely regretful. As for the other title battle pet warriors, Wu Jun's expressions changed drastically when they heard that Yi Fei was about to turn into a demon. They all shouted, "My lords, it's a pity that Yi Fei has turned into a demon. But for the sake of the stability of the northern region, we must kill Yi Fei before he completely turns into a demon. Yes, we must kill Yi Fei as soon as possible. Otherwise, he will turn from a holy king into a holy demon. Most importantly, none of us will be a match for him." The Qin family's patriarch also stepped forward. The words of the titled martial lords shocked all the young martial kings, but no one raised any objections. Even the Sword Maniac Elder had a rare moment of silence. It wasn't that they didn't want to save Yi Fei, but once Yi Fei turned into a demon, he would completely become a murderous demon. If they didn't kill Yi Fei before Yi Fei completely turned into a demon, then the northern region would be completely destroyed by Yi Fei, even if it wasn't destroyed by the Blood Demon sect. Kill him. We must stop Yi Fei from turning into a demon. Wu Jun, who was already anxious, rushed toward Yi Fei with fear on his face, trying to seize the opportunity to kill Yi Fei. Then, the two lords, the other titled battle pet warriors, and even Sword Maniac Elder gradually walked into the sky with grief on their faces. Kill him quickly. They are coming to kill you. If you don't kill them all, they will kill you. Do you want Xiao Chao to die with you? The voice in Yi Fei's mind kept roaring as he sensed the killing intent around him. In order to lure Yi Fei completely into a demon, this voice even involved Xiao Chao. This made Yi Fei's heart skip a beat. Out of instinct, he looked into the space of the beast mark. Xiao Chao was still sleeping in the space. She had consumed too much energy to help Yi Fei open the spiritual eye of heaven and earth. However, even though she was sleeping, when Xiao Chao sensed that Yi Fei had entered the space of the beast mark with a very annoying aura, Xiao Chao still breathed out a mouthful of spirit energy and blew it toward Yi Fei. It was as if she wanted to blow away the annoying aura on Yi Fei's body. Then, Xiao Chao tucked in the little spiritual medicine blanket that covered her body and went back to sleep. She didn't know that her breath had a huge impact on the inner demon. Then he heard a boom. The airflow that Xiao Chao blew out directly turned into a rainbow-colored spiritual wind. Yi Fei's whole body shivered as he was blown away. Then, he was surprised to find that a ball of twisted black gas seemed to have been blown out from his heart. It was like smoke that was blown away. Damn it, I was so close to being able to lure him into a demon. This damned Ganoderma grass. She can actually harm our inner demon while sleeping. Yifei, just you wait. We will meet again. One day, I will make you fall into a demon. With endless anger and grievance, the inner demon angrily turned into black smoke and completely disappeared from Yifei's heart. At this time, Yifei finally woke up. He was actually bewitched by the inner demon and almost turned into a murderous demon. Damn, a person abandoned by the heavens is really unlucky. Yifei was incomparably depressed. He knew that this was another side effect of being abandoned by the heavens. Of course, what Yifei didn't know was that before he broke through to Wu Jun, he had coincidentally collected the Annihilation Sword and obtained the heaven and earth's dark yellow chi stolen from it. If he hadn't changed his fate, he would have been struck to death by the heavens, even if he hadn't been tempted by the inner demon. It was also this heaven and earth's fate that alarmed Xiao Qiao and allowed Xiao Qiao to breathe out the rainbow-colored spiritual wind to help Yifei in her sleep. Chapter 691. Heaven-defying Saint Yifei understood what was going on. Those tidal battle pet warriors must be afraid that he would lose his life once he turned into a demon, so they wanted to kill him together. Yifei inwardly exclaimed that he was lucky. Luckily, he woke up quickly enough. Otherwise, he would have died too unjustly. Yifei did not blame the martial lords. After all, once he became a demon, he could be considered to have died. It was pardonable for the martial lords to want to kill him. I have to hurry up and reach the 12th level of the martial saint realm. Otherwise, I won't be able to stop the demon without Xiao Qiao. Boom! The bloody light in Yifei's eyes disappeared. As his mind moved, the 12 Saint Bodhi pearls in his body started to shine. Yifei's entire body began to emit an incomparably holy light. This was the light of the Saint Bodhi, and also the light of the Azura power. Under the limitless light, the chi and blood in Yifei's body turned into flames and started to burn fiercely. Wu Jun, who was approaching Yifei, was puzzled. Could it be that our eyes were playing tricks on us? Isn't there no way to save someone who has fallen into a demonic state other than killing them? Yifei actually managed to escape from the demonic state. The Northern Wilderness Heavenly King and Beichuan Heavenly King were both shocked. For others, once they turn into a demon, they will be doomed eternally. But for Yifei, turning into a demon is just the first step of his many trials. He still has a long way to go. The Sword Maniac Elder's tense face revealed a slight smile. Suddenly, he said something that many martial lords did not understand. That made the Lord of the Northern Wilderness and the Lord of the Northern Wilderness and Beichuan even more afraid of Sword Maniac Elder. Sword Maniac Elder was only at the first level of the martial saint realm. However, the Sword Maniac Elder was also different from the other titled martial lords. His life was ordinary. The reason he was able to reach where he was today was all because of his infatuation with the sword. He forcibly went from ordinary to extraordinary. That in itself was a legend. Of course, Yifei, who was in the process of breaking through, was a legend among legends. Because in the short time when Wu Jun and the others were hesitating, sensing that Yifei was about to break through, the heavens and earth were once again enraged. The rolling purple lightning formed a thundercloud in the sky and mercilessly struck towards Yifei. How was this a heavenly punishment? This was simply a heavenly tribulation that only appeared in legends. The person abandoned by the heavens is indeed not tolerated by the heavens. He just broke through to Wu Jun, and this Yifei actually attracted a heavenly tribulation. I wonder if Yifei can block it. Another title battle pet warrior, Wu Jun, was worried. F*CK, this isn't a heavenly punishment, but a heavenly tribulation. What have I, Yifei, done wrong? Why are you doing this to me? For the first time, Yifei felt that the identity of the person abandoned by the heavens was a tricky one. No wonder the ancient holy families would give up when they saw the person abandoned by the heavens. However, so what if he was abandoned by the heavens? The heaven-abandoning martial emperor was also abandoned by the heavens. Didn't he still become a martial emperor? Since he could, why can't I? Yifei said to himself. Then, he raised his head and looked at the thundercloud. He didn't try to dodge. After all, there was no point in dodging. Since I cannot avoid it, I will face it with courage. Battle demon golden body. The blazing blood flames suddenly turned into resplendent golden flames. Yifei took a step forward and soared into the sky, brazenly crashing into the tribulation clouds in the sky. Within the tribulation clouds, there was also a huge explosion. The sky was filled with chaotic lightning. Within the lightning, Yifei's body was covered in golden light. He was bathed in lightning as he ferociously slammed his hand towards the sky. Boom, crack! The sky collapsed, and the tribulation clouds were destroyed. Clear skies reappeared between heaven and earth. Many of the captured evil spirits were scared out of their wits. Damn, he smashed the thundercloud with his physical body. Lin Tianjiao swallowed his saliva. His physical body was also terrifying. But if he were in Yifei's shoes, he wouldn't be as bold as Yifei. He wouldn't even dare to smash the heavenly tribulation with his physical body. That was a heavenly tribulation. It hadn't appeared in the Tianwu continent since the ancient times. Lin Tianjiao was not the only one who was speechless. All the young martial kings who saw this were speechless. However, no one was jealous of Yifei. They only raised their heads and looked at the figure in the sky with endless admiration. Then, many martial kings were so scared that they couldn't help but scream. Mother of *Ker, this Yifei is still a human. Lin Tianjiao was the first to scream again. He took a few steps back. He felt that his pride had been shattered in front of Yifei. Fu Rinjie and Qin Mengyao were also looking at Yifei in the sky in shock. After the heavenly tribulation, Yifei had successfully reached the 12th level of the martial saint realm. Behind him, 12 rays of light appeared. The 12 rays of light were like 12 miniature suns. They lit up the sky and covered the earth. In a trance, many people seemed to see 12 tall figures standing behind Yifei. They were either lowering their heads, pondering, angry, or happy. They had different expressions and postures. The only thing they had in common was their aura and their souls. Roar. In the end, the 12 figures looked up at the sky at the same time, like ancient demonic gods, and let out angry roars. Boom, boom, boom. At that moment, the sky and earth ceased to exist. People could only see 12 golden pillars of light, as thick as buckets, shooting into the sky. They also formed a strange position, surrounding and protecting Yifei in the center. All of the titled martial lords present were dumbfounded by the sight. 12 primordial spirits. Oh my God, Yifei has condensed 12 primordial spirits in one go. This is so terrifying. The Sage King of the North region is amazing. No wonder he could trigger the heavenly tribulation when he broke through to Wu Jun. He has 12 primordial spirits. What Sage King of the North region? I think he is a heaven-defying sage. Have any of you seen Wu Jun, who has 12 primordial spirits? No one answered. As soon as Yifei's 12 primordial spirits appeared, Wu Jun was completely stunned. When he thought about how they had wanted to take advantage of Yifei's demonic state to get rid of him, the Lord of the Northern Wilderness Country and the Lord of the Beichuan Country were so scared that their backs were wet with cold sweat. It was not rare for warriors to have multiple primordial spirits in ancient times. However, it was extremely rare in the current Tianwu continent. At least, they could not find a Wu Jun who had a single primordial spirit in the North region. Perhaps only the Zhongzhou country could have such a genius. However, even the top geniuses in the Zhongzhou country could only condense 2 or 3 primordial spirits, which was already considered heaven-defying. Yifei had condensed 12 primordial spirits in one go. If news of this spread to the Zhongzhou country, many geniuses would be scared to death. Abandoned by the heavens, abandoned by the heavens. Bastard, Yi Fei is not abandoned by the heavens. He is 10,000 times luckier than us old guys. After the lord of the northern wilderness country recovered from his fear, he was filled with jealousy and depression. I have to admit it. 12 primordial spirits. He can achieve such a heaven-defying feat. Yi Fei is a heaven-defying sage. We old guys can't suppress him anymore. The lord of the Beichuan countryside. When the other Wu Juns heard this, they nodded and secretly communicated with each other. Yi Fei is both heaven-defying and abnormal. We can only make friends with him. We can't provoke him. Otherwise, if he is unhappy, he can destroy us with his 12 primordial spirits. Who in the North region could stop a heaven-defying sage like Yi Fei? Other than the geniuses in the Zhongzhou country, no one could stop him. Sigh. Chapter 692. Confidence, 12 primordial spirits. I've actually condensed 12 primordial spirits and officially stepped onto the path of a martial saint. In the sky, Yi Fei looked at the 12 balls of light revolving around his body. While he was happy, he couldn't help but feel shocked. It was very difficult to break through to the 12th level of the martial saint realm in the northern region. One had to condense 12 primordial spirits at the first level of the 12th level of the martial saint realm. The titled Wu Jun. Yi Fei didn't know if the central region's geniuses could do it. However, Yi Fei had never heard of anyone possessing so many primordial spirits in the northern region. Even Zhao Yu, who cultivated the unmoved Emperor's supreme unmoved Tao, had only condensed 2 primordial spirits. This Saint Bodhi is indeed terrifying. Most importantly, this thing clearly carries the aura of Buddha. How can it merge with the power of Azura so perfectly? Yi Fei couldn't figure out, but he didn't bother to think about it. Yi Fei only knew that he had struck gold this time. After stepping into the martial saint realm, the quality of his dantian was no longer important. The most important thing was the primordial spirit. In other words, the primordial spirit was a kind of evolution of a martial artist's dantian. Not only could it contain more true essence, but it was also of a higher quality. At the same time, the strength of the primordial spirit largely determined a martial artist's battle prowess. The stronger the primordial spirit, the more true essence stored in the martial artist's body. For example, if the titled Wu Jun's primordial spirit was twice as strong, the true essence stored in the martial artist's body would also be twice as strong. Naturally, the martial artist's battle prowess would also be greatly increased. Moreover, after reaching the 12th level of the martial saint realm, the martial arts a martial artist could perform would also be greatly strengthened. Correspondingly, the true essence consumed would also be incomparably huge. Take the sky extinguishing sword, for example. Such a sword art of the martial emperor would consume a terrifying amount of true essence to perform at full strength. If an ordinary titled Wu Jun were to perform it, he might only be able to use it once before the true essence in his body would be depleted, and he would be unable to continue fighting. But if he had 12 primordial spirits, it would be different. Yi Fei could unleash 12 complete annihilation swords in one go. Just the thought of its power was terrifying. At the same time, as Yi Fei's cultivation level increased in the future, the energy stored in his primordial spirit would become even more abundant. The number of times he could use powerful martial arts would also continue to increase. In this state, why do I feel like I have an infinite amount of skills in the online games of the future? Indeed, having multiple primordial spirits is the way to go. In his mind, Yi Fei sorted out the benefits that the 12 primordial spirits could bring. He was also extremely shocked. Only then did he realize how terrifying and primordial soul realm ancient martial art practitioner was. With 12 primordial spirits, Yi Fei finally had the confidence to face the geniuses of the Central Continent and DZ. Although I don't have the Emperor aura, I have 12 primordial spirits. Perhaps this is where my advantage lies in facing those Central Plains geniuses. Realization flashed through Yi Fei's mind. Now that the heavenly tribulation had passed, He began to slowly retract the light beams of the 12 primordial spirits back into his body, and continued to consolidate his cultivation of the first stage of Wu Jun. Below the sky, countless martial art practitioners were watching the process of Yi Fei stepping into the 12th level of the martial sacred realm and becoming the titled Wu Jun with complicated expressions. In particular, when they heard the other Wu Jun referring to Yi Fei as the heaven-defying Saint Monarch, the young martial kings present were in an uproar. Heaven-defying Saint Monarch? It's the first time such a Saint Monarch has appeared in the northern region, right? Of course. Haven't any of you seen a titled Wu Jun with 12 primordial spirits before? Apart from those geniuses with the ancient physique, only the central continent would have a chance of contending against Yi Fei. The young martial kings exclaimed. They had witnessed with their own eyes how Yi Fei had gone from an ordinary martial art practitioner to his current achievements. The heaven-defying Wu Jun. He was already the strongest existence in the northern region. Damn it, I didn't expect him to leave me so far behind in just a few years. Was my pride in the past wrong? Lin Tianjiao looked at Yi Fei in the sky. He would be lying if he said that he wasn't jealous. However, he was more frustrated than jealous. After all, 3 years ago, Lin Tianjiao didn't take Yi Fei seriously at all. Now, he was left far behind by Yi Fei. Lin Tianjiao, Fu Renjie, and Chen Mingyao all felt the enormous pressure in the sky. We are the 5 heavens' primordial spirits. Not counting the dead Song Yu, are the 3 of us going to look up to Yi Fei and watch him leave us further and further behind? Lin Tianjiao was unwilling to accept this. He was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. Fu Renjie's expression turned solemn as well. He smiled bitterly and shook his head. Then his gaze became firm as he said, Yi Fei, from now on, you're the goal that I, Fu Renjie, will chase after. One day, I will definitely surpass you and reclaim the title of the strongest genius. Lin Tianjiao, Fu Renjie. If we continue to stay in the northern region, we definitely won't have a chance to catch up with Yi Fei. Why don't we find some time to go to the central region? That is the real stage. There will definitely be geniuses more powerful than Yi Fei there, Chen Mingyao suddenly suggested. Fu Renjie and Lin Tianjiao's eyes suddenly lit up. They nodded and said, Okay, let's go to the central region together. Hey, Fu Renjie, are you going to the central region too? It turned out that after being stimulated by Yi Fei, not only did Fu Renjie and the other 2 want to leave the northern region and go to the central region to improve their strength, but many of the young martial kings present were also thinking about this problem. Due to the impact of the ancient war, the resources of the northern region had already been exhausted and the talents had withered. If they stayed in the northern region, they could only break through to the titled Wu Jun at most. However, if they went to the central region, they could break through to a higher realm and obtain stronger battle strength. After all, there were 3 levels in the martial sage realm. Titled Wu Jun, Earthly Omnipotence, and Omnipotent Sage. Since they could break through to a higher realm, who would be willing to stay as a titled Wu Jun for the rest of their lives? You should go out and try your luck while you are still young. Hearing that many young martial kings wanted to leave the northern region, as the elders, many titled Wu Jun, not only did they not stop them, they even encouraged them. After sitting cross-legged in the sky for 12 days, only then did Yi Fei completely consolidate his cultivation as a first-rank titled martial lord. He couldn't help revealing a bitter smile on his face. Alas, the 12 primordial spirits are indeed powerful, but the time it takes to cultivate is also 12 times longer than others. If I had known, I would have condensed fewer primordial spirits. Yi Fei stood up in the sky with a depressed expression. Hearing that Yi Fei was still complaining after condensing 12 primordial spirits, the titled Wu Jun were so angry that they almost vomited blood. Give us some primordial spirits if you dare. Many young martial kings were roaring in their hearts. Yi Fei, can you give me some advice about your experience in breaking through to the titled Wu Jun? Chen Mingyao suddenly flew over nervously and asked Yi Fei for advice with a slightly red face. The other young martial kings' eyes lit up, and they all looked at Yi Fei expectantly. Yi Fei was now a legend in the northern region. They also want to know about Yi Fei's experience in breaking through. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.